Bella and Shelley are sisters and best friends. One weekend, their parents went on vacation. Before leaving, they strictly forbade Bella and Shelley to have parties in the house. But the sisters didn't listen and invited all their friends as soon as their parents left. After the party, the entire house was a mess. So, Bella and Shelley hired a cleaning lady to get rid of any evidence of the party. When their parents arrived home, their mother, Jessica, began to yell, "I told you, no parties in this house!" How did she know? The house is too clean. There was dust on this glass vase when the parents left, but now it's fresh and clean. Jessica asked Bella and Shelley to mow the backyard lawn. None of the sisters wanted to do this annoying task. So, Shelley offered an easy way out. She put 2 cards in a hat and said, "I wrote mow on the first card and chill on the second. Pull a card and choose your destiny." Bella wasn't so naive. She suspected that Shelley was cheating and put both cards with mow written on them. But no one would believe her if she just tried to expose Shelley. And no one would look at the other card once her fate was decided. What should she do? When asked to draw a card, Bella should pick any and destroy the paper without looking at it. In this case, to decide her fate, they'll have to look at the other card, which also says mow. And this will mean that Shelley should mow the lawn. Over a cup of tea, Bella bet Shelley $10 that she could convert her $50 into $100. Do you think Shelley should accept the bet? There's no logical reason behind accepting it. If Bella isn't able to convert the money, she'll lose the bet. But she has only $10 to lose. Meanwhile, Shelley is supposed to be giving her $50 from her wallet. Thus, even if Shelley wins the bet, she'll still lose $40. Bella and Shelley have a certain number of candies. If Bella gives 1 candy to Shelley, they'll have an equal number of candies. But if Shelley gives 1 candy to Bella, then Shelley will be left with half the number of candies that Bella has. Can you find out the number of candies they have right now? Let's use some math to figure it out. Right now, Shelley has X candies and Bella has Z candies. Now we can sum it up in these equations. X plus 1 equals Z minus 1. Therefore, Z minus X equals 2. Also, X minus 1 equals Z plus 1 divided by 2. Now we know that 2X minus Z equals 3. So, if we equate these two conclusions, we'll get the following. X plus 2 equals 2X minus 3. Now we know that X equals 5 and Z equals 7. Therefore, Shelley has 5 candies and Bella has 7 candies. Shelley was doing laundry and found out that her favorite t-shirt got torn. Can you count the exact number of holes in her t-shirt? The answer is not 3 or 6, which most people must be guessing. The correct number of holes is 10. 1 hole for the neck, 2 holes for the arms, 1 hole for the torso, 3 holes in the front, and 3 holes in the back. Bella went to the basement to find her old books. Suddenly, the bulb burned out. Bella took the new bulb to replace it, but the wires are very tangled. Can you find the correct switch that will turn on the bulb? It's the red switch. The best way to get the answer is to start from the bulb. It's been a long day. Bella finally went to sleep. But when she saw her bedroom, she yelled and ran away. Can you tell what's wrong here? Did you notice this zombie? Bella ran to the living room and shut the door. Is she safe here? Nope. Take a look at the mirror. Some stranger is inside the room. Bella and Shelley went hiking with their friends. 4 of them went into a completely empty lake. And then 8 people came out. How is this possible? Four people were sitting on the shoulders of the other 4 when they were getting inside the lake. The guys made a stop to have a picnic. They began to play football. During their play, Bella's boyfriend, Rob, busted his lips and ears and broke a couple of ribs and thighs. However, he still managed to play a professional match the very next day. How can this be possible? Rob knocked on his food plate accidentally while playing. He had pig lips, ears, and ribs, along with chicken thighs. When he knocked on his plate, he busted his food. On the way home, the guys went through a field. They saw a cow. It walked 30 feet north, 30 feet east, 30 feet south, and finally walked 30 feet west. All this time, where was its tail pointing? Can you solve this mystery? Downwards, of course. The guys rented 4 scooters in 4 different places and hit the road. They agreed to meet in a cafe at the gas station. Here's the map. Can you tell which scooter will reach the destination first? The third one. Bella and Shelley were trying to get the perfect gift for their father's birthday. Finally, they found this beautiful vintage watch, but they couldn't afford it. The seller offered them a deal. "Solve my riddle, and I'll make a 90% discount." The sisters agreed. The seller took out a $50 bill and asked, "What's the easiest way to double my money?" Can you help them solve this mystery? They should put the bill in front of a mirror. The sisters decided to have lunch in a cozy little cafe. The cook offered them tomato soup, mushroom salad, chicken wings, octopus, and mushroom pizza. Can you help them choose the safest food? There are mirror shards in these chicken wings. Probably not the healthiest option. I'm pretty sure those mushrooms are poisonous too. This octopus is still alive, and this soup must be several weeks old. So, Bella and Shelley should choose the mushroom pizza. After lunch, the local barista offered the sisters free coffee if they managed to solve his tricky riddle. Here's the task. Name a 10-letter word in English that can be typed using only the top rows of your computer keyboard. Can you help the ladies get their free coffee? And the correct answer is typewriter. Great job! Shelley got a job at a restaurant. One night, a cook, a cobbler, and a doctor went to dinner together and asked Shelley to split the bill equally among them. When the bill arrived, it was for 4 people. How can this be possible? The 4th person was the knight. It was just misspelled as night. Shelley and Bella were walking down the street. Suddenly, they saw this creepy shadow. Can you guess what's going on here? Should they be worried? Nope. It's Halloween. The guy is just walking around and scaring people in his witch costume. See, he's wearing sneakers. Shelley and Bella saw this mysterious magic shop sign and decided to go get some tarot readings. As soon as they entered the shop, a wicked witch locked the door and said, "I will make your biggest dreams come true if you crack my code. But if you fail, you'll stay here forever." Then she gave them the following clues. A. 981. One number is perfectly placed. B. 924. Everything is incorrect. C. 093. Two numbers are part of the code, but are in the wrong places. D. 147. One number is part of the code, but is in the wrong place. E. 783. One number is part of the code, but is in the wrong place. Can you help Shelley and Bella? From clues A and B, we learned that 9 is not in the code. It also means that 8 or 1 is in the code for sure. According to clue B, we know that 9, 2, and 4 are not in the code. From clue C, we know that 0 and 3 are in the final code. Clue E tells us that 7 and 8 are not in the final code because we already know that 3 is. And clue D tells us that 1 is also in the code because 4 and 7 are not. So, the correct code is 301. The witch has fulfilled Shelley and Bella's wishes. They wanted to thank her and decided to prepare her favorite drink from a recipe book. Unfortunately, the last ingredient was encrypted. Can you help them crack the code? They should add a tear of a Triton. After visiting the witch, Shelley met a handsome guy, Tom. They had a perfect date. Shelley couldn't believe that he was real. She thought it was an illusion created by the witch's spell. So she decided to test the guy's logical skills. She showed him this list and asked just one question. What do these words have in common? Can you help Tom? If we remove the first letter of each word and place it in the end, you'll be able to read the same word from the beginning and the end. Can you figure out the next number in this sequence? It's 2. To make the puzzle seem harder, all digits are placed apart. In fact, the sequence consists of 2 different sequences. The first one is 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And the second sequence is 9, 18, 36, 72, and so on. Now it's obvious that the next digit should be 2.
Susan found out that her favorite pop band was playing a private concert for VIP clients in a luxurious club. She decided to sneak inside through the back door. But, unfortunately, Susan came across a strict guard behind the door. He refused to let Susan inside without a password. But, luckily for her, there was a hint on the guard's t-shirt. The hint was 2 infinity plus BD. Susan deciphered the hint and was allowed to enter. Can you guess what the password was? It was to infinity and beyond. After the concert, Susan met up with her friend Bobby. Bobby was an expert in ghost activity. He invited Susan to go ghost hunting to a creepy old hotel. Of course, Bobby had state-of-the-art equipment. Once they arrived at the hotel, his equipment indicated there was strong paranormal activity going on. It looked like the ghost had a sense of humor and wanted to play hide-and-seek with them before it revealed itself. It led Bobby and Susan into a room with 4 doors. Each door had an inscription on it with some clues. The sign on door A said, "It's behind B or C." The sign on door B claimed, "It's behind A or D." Door C said, "It's in here." and door D stated, "The ghost isn't here." Bobby and Susan looked very confused until a note appeared next to their feet. It said, "3 of the inscriptions are false and 1 is true." Can you guess which door leads to the ghost? Let's see how this works. If the ghost was behind door A, then both statements B and D would be true. If it was behind door B, then both A and D would be true. If the ghost was behind door C, then A, C, and D would be all true. But if the ghost was behind door D, then the statements on all the doors would be false, except for that on door B. This fits the rules, so the ghost must be behind door D. The next morning, Bobby called Susan again, saying that he had a surprise. He had won 2 tickets to Susan's favorite theme park and asked her if she wanted to go. Before she answered, though, Bobby warned her that she had to crack a very difficult riddle. Only then would he give her a ticket. She agreed. For a school challenge, 100 students received a number between 1 and 100. Each student was instructed to go inside a classroom that had exactly 100 boxes randomly numbered from 1 to 100. Inside each box, there was a slip of paper with a random number between 1 and 100 on it. Now, each student needed to enter the classroom on their own and find the box that contained the slip of paper with their number on it. But in order to do so, each of them was only allowed to open a maximum of 50 boxes. They were instructed to leave the room exactly as they found it, and they weren't allowed to communicate with other students once they'd left the room. If all of the students managed to find their numbers inside the boxes, they would each get $100. But if one of them wasn't able to find their number, none of them would be able to win the prize. Bobby asked Susan if she knew the best strategy for all of the students to find their numbers and win the prize. After a few hours, Susan called Bobby with the answer. She managed to figure out the riddle. Can you guess what she answered? This riddle isn't obvious, but let's see how it works. If each student searched for their numbers randomly, they would each have a 50% chance of finding the box with their number inside. This is because there were 100 boxes and they were allowed to look inside 50 of them. However, the probability of all of them finding their own number following this random strategy is absurdly small. So, to increase their chances of collectively finding their numbers, they would need a better approach. The students could use something called the loop strategy. After entering the classroom, they should go directly toward the box that has their number on top of it. The number inside probably won't be their number, but that's okay. They should check the number inside the box and go look for the box with that same number on top of it, and so on and so forth. They should keep doing this until they find the paper with their number on it. This strategy means there's more than a 30% chance of the students finding their numbers and winning the prize. It's not a huge probability, but hey, at least they'll have fun trying to figure it out. One afternoon, Susan found her father Frank in the living room. Frank was a private investigator and he had just received a message revealing the address of the town's most dangerous criminal, Dirty Jack. He decided to go check the area, even though he didn't know what the criminal looked like. The address turned out to be an old warehouse. When he busted inside, he found 4 people sitting at a table. They were a carpenter, a truck driver, a mechanic, and a firefighter. Without any hesitation, Frank arrested the firefighter. How did he know it was the criminal? The firefighter was the only man in the room. The rest of the people were women. Bobby and Susan decided to go grab a cup of coffee. But when their orders arrived, Bobby's drink came with a fly in it. He called the waiter and asked him to change his cup. The waiter brought him another cup of coffee, but 2 seconds later, Bobby called the waiter again and said, "Hey, that's the same cup." How did he know? Because Bobby had already put sugar in his coffee. And when he tasted the new drink, it already had sugar in it. Susan and her family went on vacation to their country house, but unfortunately, it was raining heavily. It kept raining for 13 days. When it rained in the morning, the afternoon was beautiful and clear. And when it rained in the afternoon, the next day was blessed with a clear, sunny morning. Overall, Susan's family experienced 11 nice mornings and 12 nice afternoons. Can you find out the total number of days they spent in the country house? The total number is 18 days. Here's how you can figure it out. Let's call clear afternoons X, clear mornings Y, and periods of time with no rain O. This equation represents the number of days with rain, X plus Y equals 13. And here are the days with clear mornings, Y plus O equals 11. And this equation represents the days with clear afternoons, X plus O equals 12. If we solve these three equations, we'll learn that X equals 7, Y equals 6, and O equals 5. So the total number of days is 18. Bobby started his morning by jogging in the park near his house. When he returned, he got to know some very unpleasant news. Someone had stolen his car. He questioned 3 of his neighbors. Henry said, "I've been playing video games for the past 12 hours and haven't left my basement." Rosie said, "I'm a gardener. I've been planting daisies in the public area all morning, and I think I saw a suspicious man who opened the car using a knife." Jack said, "I saw your car when I went out for groceries, but when I returned home, it was gone." Who's lying? Rosie. She said she planted daisies, but look, there are only rose bushes in this area. One day, Susan found a box on her desk with a note that read, "What can run but never walks, has a mouth but never speaks, has a head but never weeps, has a bed but never sleeps." Can you decipher this riddle? The correct answer is a river.
3 friends, Jim, Alex, and Chris, pick hats from a box. In the box, there are 2 black hats and 1 white hat. Jim sees the hats on Alex and Chris. Alex only sees Chris's hat, and Chris can't see any hats. When asked if they know the colors of their hats, Jim and Alex both say no. Chris confidently says that he knows his hat is black. How has he figured it out? Here's how it works. Jim's no means there's at least 1 black hat between Alex and Chris. Alex says no too, indicating that he sees a black hat on Chris. If it was white, Alex would know he's wearing the black since there's only 1 white hat. So Chris is sure that his hat is black. No magic or tricks, just logic. Detective Sue finds herself entangled in a case involving the theft of precious diamonds from a vault fortified with high security measures. The list of suspects is diverse. There's a janitor, a security guard, even the CEO. Who is the thief? The thief is the janitor. Even in a high-security vault, the diamonds should still remain dust-free. The janitor's role involves cleaning them, so he had access to the jewels. On a chilly, wintry day, a figure stood in the center of someone's front yard. This individual remained in place for several weeks without any movement, and the yard's owner didn't mind it. Eventually, this person was gone. Who was he? It was a snowman. Meet Vampire Vlad. He invites his close nocturnal friends for a one-of-a-kind dinner gathering. Interestingly, the dinner party takes place during the daytime. All of his vampire companions accept the invitation without questioning it, and they arrive without encountering any problems. How on earth is this possible? Well, it turns out Vlad is the master of planning. He chose to host his vampire friends during a solar eclipse. Vampire Vlad has another story to puzzle you. One day, he found himself on a remote island. There seemed to be no humans there. To his relief, he stumbled upon a thriving garden filled with garlic. Vlad smiled with contentment. Garlic is dangerous for vampires. Then why did he laugh? That garlic garden implied the presence of a skilled gardener on the island. There was a human somewhere around. This discovery kindled Vlad's hope of a future food source. Here's the last one of the vampire-themed puzzles. In a quaint village, 3 individuals cast shadows, but one claims to be a vampire. The townsfolk wonder which of these 3 is the true vampire. Well, who is the vampire? The vampire is the one whose shadow behaves weirdly. While regular human shadows mimic people's movements, the vampire's shadow moves independently. Look, the human shadows synchronize with their steps, but the vampire shadow has a mind of its own. Steve met a tragic fate on a Saturday afternoon. His wife claims she was in the shower at that time. The chef says he was making breakfast, and the gardener was busy pruning hedges. Who is the likely criminal? It's the chef.
Uh-oh.
The whole thing happened in the afternoon, but the chef said that he had been making breakfast. At a carnival, a boy made a bet with a man. The man said he could write the boy's exact weight on a piece of paper. If he succeeded, the boy would give him $50. If not, the boy would get $50. The boy thought he could always say he weighed more or less, so he agreed. However, in the end, the boy had to pay the man $50. How did the man win? The man wrote your exact weight on the paper, and that was exactly what he said he would do. A person finds themselves confined in a room with 2 possible escape routes. The initial exit is an arrangement of magnifying glasses that scorch anything passing through, because the sun is scorching. The second exit is guarded by a fire-spewing dragon, which is merciless to intruders. How can the captive make their escape? They should wait until nightfall when the sun is down and then make a dash through the first exit. A criminal has been sentenced to face a fatal fate, and he is given a choice to meet his end in one of 3 rooms: a room engulfed in a blazing fire, a room occupied by assassins, or a room inhabited by lions that haven't eaten a meal in years. Which room should he select? He should opt for the room with the lions. If they haven't eaten in years, they aren't alive anymore. Once, a magician bragged about being able to hold his breath underwater for 6 minutes. A kid overheard this and exclaimed, "And I can do 10 minutes with no gear." The magician bet $10,000. Oddly, the kid won. Do you know how? She was just holding a glass of water above her head for 10 minutes. A monkey, a squirrel, and a bird are having a race to the tip of a ginormous coconut tree, all of them eyeing a delicious banana at the top. Who's going to be the lucky winner here? The monkey, the squirrel, or the bird? Oh please, the answer is none of them, because bananas don't grow on coconut trees. There are 5 apples in a basket and 5 people in the room. Each person takes 1 apple. Yet in the end, 1 apple is left in the basket. How come? The last person took an apple together with the basket. There's a person who lives on the 14th floor of a building. When they take the elevator downstairs, they stop at the first floor. When they go upstairs, they only go to the 10th floor. And after that, they use the stairs the rest of the way. But here's the twist. When they're in the elevator with someone else, or when it's raining, they go straight to the 14th floor. So what's the deal with this weird behavior? This person is a child. They can't reach the 14th floor button. When it's raining, this kid has an umbrella and can use it to press the button. And when they're with someone else, this other person can press the button for them. A driver goes the wrong way on a one-way street, but when he passes a few cops, they don't stop him. Why? Because he's walking, not driving. 2 fathers and 2 sons go to the mall and then return home in a car. However, when they get out of the car at home, only 3 people exit. How is it possible? Did they forget someone at the mall? Well, it's because we've got 3 generations here: a grandfather, a father, and a son. So even though there are 2 fathers and 2 sons, there are only 3 individuals. A couple went on a 3-week-long vacation, taking great care to secure their home and asking a neighbor to look after it during their absence. Upon their return, the wife discovered that her valuable jewelry was gone. How did it happen? She had hidden her precious jewelry inside the freezer in a bag with frozen food. But during their absence, there was a power outage. The frozen food went bad, and the neighbor, trying to be helpful, threw away the spoiled food. Bye-bye, jewelry! Imagine finding yourself in a pitch-black room. You have just a matchbox, a candle, and a lamp. You have only 1 match. The question is, what should you light first? Easy peasy. You light the match first. Think of an 8-letter word that remains a valid word even when you remove 1 letter at a time until only 1 letter is left. It's almost impossible to guess, but give it a try. The word is starting. You can take away letters one by one like this: starting, staring, string, sting, sing, sin, in, and finally I. Did you find those tough? Let me know in the comments.
Hey Sherlock, I see you're ready for a new challenge. I've got just the thing for you. A jewelry store owner reported a theft. A detective arrived and interviewed 3 employees: John, Sarah, and Mike. John claimed he had been in the storeroom. Sarah said that one customer had been having problems with his credit card and she had been trying to help him. And Mike insisted he had been in the office. The detective immediately realized who was lying. Have you figured it out too? Sarah is lying. Have you noticed that note on the window? Cash only? The store doesn't accept credit cards, so Sarah must be the thief. 4 guys having 5 rocks each were playing a game in which they needed to throw rocks at a small island in the water. The first guy succeeded in throwing 3 rocks at the island, but one of his rocks sank. The third guy's aim was so bad that all his rocks sank. The fourth guy was quite good. At least none of his rocks sank. And the second guy was actually the winner, but he was struck by a rock in the head and was rushed to the hospital. Who threw a stone at the second guy? It was the first guy. He still had 1 rock left, remember? In the morning, Mrs. Williams cooked a chocolate cake for her husband's birthday. But when she came back home in the evening, the cake was gone.
Oh no!
The woman knew that one of her kids had eaten the cake. When she questioned them, she got the following answers. Albert said, "Hannah did it." Hannah said, "It was Cedric." And Cedric said, "Hannah is lying." Assuming that the culprit lies and the other kids tell the truth, who ate the cake? It was Hannah. When Albert said it was Hannah, he was telling the truth. When Hannah said Cedric did it, she was lying. And when Cedric responded, "Hannah is lying," he was telling the truth. Look at these words. One of them is odd. Can you figure out which one? It's the word fourth. It should be spelled as fourth. Look at these 2 couples. There's something strange with one of them. Which one? The couple on the left is weird. Look, they don't get reflected in the mirror behind their backs. Are they vampires or what? Creepy. Agents Yellow, Red, and Green each have a green badge, a yellow badge, and a red badge, but none of them has a badge color that matches their name. They were invited to a conference at the headquarters. The agent with the green badge said, "I've solved 2 cases," to which Agent Red replied sarcastically, "Of what, missing kittens?" What color is each agent's badge? Pay attention to the fact that it was the agent with the green badge and not Agent Green who was talking to Agent Red. Since the agent with the green badge spoke to Agent Red, we know that Agent Red doesn't have the green badge. We already know he doesn't have the red badge either. Therefore, he must have a yellow badge. The agent with the green badge cannot be Agent Red, nor can he be Agent Green. Therefore, he must be Agent Yellow. So, Agent Yellow has the green badge and Agent Red has the yellow badge, which means Agent Green must have the red badge. In the morning, Agent Black had a fight with his wife, Agent White. Later in the day, he sent her a coded message as an apology. It went like this. Can you figure out what this message means? Agent Black told his wife, "Too wise you are, too wise you be. I see you are too wise for me." Now it's time to turn on your analytical skills to the max. Can you figure out which number is missing here? The number you need is 78. If you read these numbers upside down, you'll get 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91. Another riddle to check how sharp your wit is. You can't see it, but it can see through you. What is it? It's an X-ray. It loses the head in the morning and only gets it back at night. What is it? It's a pillow. They are two brothers on opposite sides of the road, but they never see each other. What are they? They're your eyes. The combined age of the father and the son is 66 years. The age of the father is the age of the son, but with the digits reversed. Can you figure out how old they are? A little hint. There might be more than one correct answer. The father might be 60 years old, then his son is 6 years old. Or the father is 51 years old and the son is 15. And finally, the father can be 42 years old and the son will then be 24. Try to answer this question without thinking. You have 10 fingers on your hands. How many fingers are there on 10 hands? I bet you had the urge to say 100 fingers, but no, the correct answer is 50 fingers. You see two women entering an elevator in a large office building. Which one doesn't work there? The woman on the left is wearing a name tag. It means she works for the company here. So the other woman is probably a guest. A couple decided to name their newborn baby Jason. Try to understand how this name is connected to the name of the couple's other children. J in July, A in August, S in September, O in October, and N in November. And we get Jason. Can you find two bizarre things about this picture? There's a pink coconut over there, and TV antennas sticking out of the sand. Your next task is to figure out which of these men is her husband. It's the guy on the right. Look, the girl keeps a picture of him as wallpaper on her phone. Which of these three ladies is not pregnant? It's the one on the right. If you look at her attentively, you'll see that she has a pillow under her blouse. One of these princesses isn't real. Which one? It's the one on the right. Have you noticed that one of her fingers is green? She's probably not human. How many books can you find in this picture? There are 5 of them here. See? Which of these guys is hungry? The guy on the right has already eaten. See that piece of lettuce stuck between his teeth? But the guy on the left is longingly gazing at a picture of a burger on his phone. He must be the hungry one. Can you find a candle in this picture? Here it is. Oh-ho! If you manage to spot it, you have an eagle eye. Jack posted a new photo from his trip on social media. How many likes did this photo get if only one statement is true? Unfortunately, Jack's photo got 0 likes. Hopefully, he wasn't too upset. Marcus woke up in a dark basement with just one candle burning on the table. He saw 3 doors in one of the walls and 3 keys lying on the table. How many attempts did the guy need to figure out the key for each door? He needed 6 attempts at the most, 3 of them for the first key, 2 attempts for the second key, and 2 remaining doors. And just 1 attempt for the last key. But if Marcus is extremely lucky, he might need just 3 attempts. Andrew and Emma agreed to meet for a date at the park entrance at 9 p.m., but there was a slight problem. Both Andrew's and Emma's watches were showing the wrong time. Andrew's watch was 3 minutes behind, but he thought it was 2 minutes ahead. Emma's watch, on the other hand, was 2 minutes ahead, but she thought it was 3 minutes behind. Which of them do you think will be late for the date? Andrew will be 5 minutes late and Emma will be 5 minutes early. Gemma was attending a technology-themed costume party. When she arrived at the venue, she saw 3 people chatting by the drinks buffet who were all dressed in robot costumes. However, she noticed that one of them was a real robot. Can you tell who? Everyone is holding drinks in their hands, but take a look at the second guy. His glass is empty, but he's still pretending to drink something from it. Robots and liquids don't go well together, so he must be an actual robot. Realizing that Gemma noticed him, the robot immediately pulled her to the corner of the room and said, "Now that you know my real identity, I need to wipe your memory. But if you can answer my riddle correctly, I'll let you go. I have keys, but open no locks. I have space, but no room. You can enter, but you can't go inside. What am I?" The answer is a computer. Janice, Candace, and Demeter were 3 witches who cared a lot about looking young and beautiful, but one of them was actually 100 years old. Can you tell me who? The first witch, Candace, who is taking a selfie, looks like an old woman on her phone screen, but that's just a social media filter. As for the second witch, Janice, the creepy old lady-looking shadow at the back is not her shadow. It's an evil spirit that's haunting her. But look at the mirror the third witch, Demeter, is holding. It's reflecting what she doesn't want others to see, aka her true face. So she's the old lady here. Lloyd went to the costume store to buy something to wear for Halloween. Once he selected a costume for himself, he headed to the fitting rooms to try it, but all 3 of them were occupied. A few minutes later, 3 different customers in costumes came out of them. The first one was wearing a vampire costume. The second was wearing a werewolf costume, and the third one was wearing a zombie costume. But Lloyd immediately realized that one of them was actually a real monster. Can you tell who? Take a look at the mirrors in front of the fitting rooms. The customer in the vampire's costume doesn't have a reflection. That can only mean he is a real vampire. Sir Ridley Stormrider was a knight searching for his one true love. He traveled to the kingdom of Eridonia after hearing rumors that there was a magical mirror there, which revealed the location of the heart's desire to those who looked into it. But there was a catch. It would only reveal it to you if you knew the answer to the riddle that was engraved on it. I'm often running, but I never get tired. What am I? Can you help Sir Ridley Stormrider find love? The correct answer is water. Inspector Banner was inspecting the Academy of History and Science. During his inspection, he noticed that whenever he asked the class a question, all the students raised their hands in response. Moreover, even though the school teacher chose a different student each time, the answer was always correct. How did this work? The teacher had prearranged with the students that they would be called upon to answer regardless of whether they knew the answer or not. But those who knew the answer should raise their right hand, and those who did not know should raise their left hand. The teacher chose a different student each time, but always the one who raised his right hand. Amy had one last test to pass before she graduated. Her professor asked her only one question during the exam, which was this. You have 2 candle wicks. Each wick, lit from the end, burns completely to the ground in exactly 1 hour, but it burns at an uneven rate. How can you use these wicks and a lighter to measure 45 minutes? Can you help Amy graduate? It's necessary to light the first wick simultaneously from both ends, which will give you 30 minutes. Simultaneously with the first wick, you light the second wick from the end, and when the first wick burns out after 30 minutes, you light the second wick from the other end, which will give you the remaining 15 minutes. Layla's best friend was her dog named Gamgee. One night after spotting a falling star in the sky, she wished that Gamgee could talk to her. Then, suddenly, the star came to life in front of her and said, I will grant you your wish if you can answer this riddle of mine. Always old, sometimes new, never sad, sometimes blue, never empty, sometimes full, never pushes, always pulls. What am I? The answer is the moon. To Layla's surprise, her dog really started talking. The first thing it said was, "Oh, this riddle game is so fun! I want to play it too! Here's my riddle to you. What's always found on the ground but never gets dirty?" It's a shadow. Jamie was standing at the edge of a circular lake. The lake was 200 feet in diameter, and there was a small island directly in the middle. There was a large tree next to him and a large tree in the middle of the island. Jamie needed to get to the island in the middle of the lake, but he didn't know how to swim. He only had a little over 200 feet of rope. How can he use that to get there? First, Jamie needs to tie one end of the rope to the tree next to him. Then, while he's holding the other end of the rope, he should walk all the way around the lake. This will wrap the rope around the tree in the center. When he returns to his starting point, he needs to tie the end of the rope he's holding to the large tree again. He can now use this rope bridge to hold on to and cross the lake to the island. Cedric was a brilliant scientist. One day, suddenly a small portal appeared in his lap, and a little device with a letter attached to it fell on his head right before the portal closed. The letter said, "From future Cedric to past Cedric. One of my experiments accidentally caused chaos to be unleashed on Earth. That is why I have to prevent you from conducting this experiment in the first place. You will find the details inside the box, but you can only open it if you know the answer to this riddle. What occurs once in a minute, twice in a moment, and never in 1,000 years? Can you help Cedric save the future world?" The answer is the letter M. People who visited the town of Maplebrook often found themselves intrigued by Mr. Perry. He had a reputation of a not quite intelligent person. That was because when offered a choice between a 50-cent coin and a $5 bill, he always chose the coin, even though it was worth 10 times less than the banknote. Can you tell why he never chose the banknote? Well, he was not so foolish after all. You see, he realized that as long as he chose the 50-cent coin, people would offer him money to choose from, and if he chose the $5 bill, the offers of money would stop, and he would get nothing. Neil was one of the best watchmakers in town. He got a call from the police station one day, asking him for help to solve a crime. 2 burglars were caught robbing shops in town. Amongst the things they stole, there were 2 watches. One of the burglars claimed that the watch they stole was a fake, so the police contacted Neil to see if that was really true. Take a look at both watches. Can you help Neil figure out which one is fake and which one is real? The watch on the left is a fake. If you look closely, you'll see that the miniature arm is too long, so it can't pass around the entire clock when it moves. Maya was an undercover police officer. On a Saturday night, she was off duty and decided to go to the movies. When she arrived, she saw 2 women who looked pretty suspicious. She remembered that the police were tracking down a girl who had escaped from prison the week before. Take a look at both women. Can you tell if one has escaped prison recently? It's the lady on the left. Her prison uniform is peeking through her coat. I mean, she should have at least changed clothes by now, right? Beth arrived at school and one of her best friends showed her a picture. She told Beth that if she got the answer correctly, she would get a week's supply of free chocolate. The friend said that one of the people in the picture wasn't human. Can you help Beth figure out the answer? It's the boy in the middle. He doesn't have a shadow, which means he's definitely not human. Ruby was traveling around India when she decided to stop for some tea. As soon as she walked inside the tea shop, the owner placed 2 teapots in front of her. He told her she would get a free cup of tea if she could figure out his riddle. He told her that the first teapot contained enough tea for 40 cups and asked to figure out, just by looking at the pot, how many cups of tea it could carry inside. Take a look at the image. Can you help Ruby figure out the answer? This is a tricky one. Probably the second teapot can only carry around 20 cups of tea. If you look closely, you'll see that the outlets of the first teapot is located in the middle of the pot. But the outlet of the second pot is located right at the bottom, so even if the pot is taller, it can't hold more water than the first one. After water hits the level of the outlet, it'll just start overflowing. Mary was walking in an enchanted forest when she met Randy, a magical unicorn. Mary asked the unicorn for some information, but he refused to talk to her unless she solved one of his riddles. He was a trickster and liked confusing people with his riddles. He told Mary that in a nearby field there were tigers and sheep. Usually one tiger could catch 3 sheep in 3 minutes. So he asked her how long it would take for 100 tigers to catch 100 sheep. Can you help Mary figure out the answer? It would still take 3 minutes because each tiger is still catching 1 sheep in 3 minutes. It doesn't matter if it's 3 tigers or 100. The unicorn was surprised by Mary's abilities and gave her another riddle to solve. He asked her to name the 5 days of the week without saying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. She also couldn't say whether it was the first day of the week or the last. What do you think Mary answered here? She said the day before yesterday, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. Clever girl, huh? Brianna was traveling on business, and her company put her in one of the best hotels in town. She arrived from work late at night, exhausted. She was getting ready to go to bed when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. The man said he was sorry for bothering her, but the hotel database had crashed and he needed to recheck some of her information. Brianna said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called security. She said there was someone in the hotel trying to rob her. Take a look at the image. How did she know the man was a robber? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He is surely not the real hotel manager. Luca decided to throw a party for his best friends. He invited over 20 people to the party, but he only bought 9 candies. He told his friends he would leave the candies inside a pretty little box, and they could each get 1 candy. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took the candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. Noah reported to the police that someone had stolen his red motorbike the previous night, right out of his garage. The police started to search for it and tracked 3 main suspects. Take a look at them. Which one stole Noah's motorbike? It's this guy on the right. Look closely. His motorbike is painted, but the paint is dripping and one can spot the old red color. He must have stolen it and painted it in a different color so as not to attract any attention. But you caught him. It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz Show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each one of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Smart, huh? Bobby was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the message, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said, 1. Don't take the candy from the first envelope. 2. Take the candy from the third envelope. And the last envelope said, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the first envelope. Which capsule should Bobby take? He should trust the candy from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. The manager of a gift shop got a call from the police station. The police told him there was a burglar on the loose. He dressed up as the Joker and was robbing local shops. But since it was Halloween, a lot of people were walking dressed up as the Joker. At that moment, 4 jokers entered the shop. The manager got suspicious, so he made the people stand in a line while he examined which one of them was the criminal. Take a look at the image. Can you guess which Joker is the real thief? The thief is the second Joker on the left. Take a look at his shoes. They're much bigger than the other shoes. He must be hiding something inside of it.
Every morning, Jolene visits Laura's bakery. Today, she stands before the display, pondering over a cupcake, a chocolate croissant, and a gingerbread cookie. Can you tell what she's going to pick? She will most likely pick the gingerbread man cookie today. Look at her scarf adorned with gingerbread men. This tells me she must be craving a Christmas-themed treat. Laura's bakery was failing, and she was desperate for some money to save her business. She found 3 baking competitions online with a grand prize of $50,000. Look at their announcement websites. 2 of those competitions were a scam to take people's data. Can you figure out which one is legit? The website for the Golden Whisk competition is full of spelling errors, such as these ones here and here. And the contact information section is conspicuously missing, which raises some red flags. The website for the Great Bakers Challenge asks for a social security number and bank details here, which is unusual for a baking competition. The Star Baker Showdown, on the other hand, has past winners, rules, and contact information pages on the right side of their website, which makes it seem professional and legit. So she should apply for that one. Laura received a letter from the competition jury. It stated that her application was accepted to move to the second stage of the contestant selection. To successfully complete that, she needed to answer this riddle. In a baker's window, I often lie. Golden and sweet, a feast for the eye. Filled with fruit or sometimes cream. Guess my name, a pastry dream. Can you help Laura? The answer is a tart. For the third stage of the competition, the bakers who were selected were invited to the Kingdom of Frostholm. There, they needed to show their baking skills by baking a Christmas cake for the royal family who were organizing this competition. So, Laura needed to book her plane ticket. Do you know for which date she needs to book it? Remember the letter she got? There was a note on there at the very end, and it said, Competition Stage 3 date, 24th of December. Laura checked the price of the plane ticket, but it was too expensive. However, she didn't notice the thing that might help her with the purchase. Can you spot what that is? Look at the info bar right at the end of the airline's website. There's a sliding notification that says, click here to answer our riddle and get a discount. Once Laura clicked the link, this riddle appeared on her computer screen. I'm a guide without a voice that gives you the whole world in your pocket or bag. What am I? The answer is a map. Laura flew to the Kingdom of Frostholm, where she was greeted by the butler of the royal family. He took her to the palace, where the contestants would be staying, and showed her 3 different room options. Which one should she pick? Do you see the hidden camera behind the TV inside the first room? So that's a pass. As for the third room, notice how the AC is set to cold even though it's snowing outside. No to that. So she should pick the second room. The palace employees had arranged a palace tour for the contestants to get them to relax a bit before the big day. During the tour, however, Laura noticed three strange things within the palace walls. Peek inside the throne room. Can you spot what's weird here? Do you see the portraits of the royal family members here above the thrones? The eyes of this past king's portrait are moving. Ooh. What's scary here in the kitchen? Take a gander at the chandelier. It's made of kitchen knives. And lastly, can you see what's creepy here in the ballroom? Do you see that dancing ghost that appears and disappears next to the stairs? Spooky. The day before the competition, Laura and the other contestants were introduced to the past winners in case they needed some inspiration and motivation. 3 bakers presented the cakes that made them win to the contestants. Laura immediately noticed that one of them was a zombie. Can you tell who? The second baker is surrounded by flies, but that just means she's a messy person, not a zombie. How did she even win? The third baker's cheeks have green spots on them, but that's just from the icing she used while making her cake. So the first baker is the zombie. Imagine the lollipop she decorated her cake with. One of them is an eyeball. Well, it was finally the big day. All the contestants were going to bake a pie, but they were told to choose what kind. There were 3 judges, and as they introduced themselves, they told the contestants what kind of pie their favorite was. Judge 1 expressed his love for chocolate pies. Judge 2 announced berry pie was his favorite. And Judge 3 said he was fond of pecan pies. However, Laura could tell one of them was lying. Can you tell who? Do you see the chocolate stains and pie crumbles on the second judge's shirt? That can only mean he's been enjoying a slice of chocolate pie before arriving at the competition venue. So he must prefer them to berry pies, despite what he said. It was decided Laura was going to bake a chocolate pie, and she was going to use her grandmother's secret recipe. In fact, her grandmother had written 2 of the ingredients in code so no one could steal her recipe. Let's look at them. Can you tell what these are? Just shift back each letter of the nonsense words by 1 in the alphabet, and you'll get the answer. So the first word decodes to sugar, and the second word decodes to cacao. The moment everyone had been waiting for was here. They were going to announce the winner. It was Laura. However, before she could claim her prize, the head judge presented her with one last challenge, a riddle to truly prove her baking wisdom. In the kitchen, I'm a king. Without me, baking's nothing. I can rise but never fall. And without my presence, your cake's too small. What am I? Can you help Laura win the grand prize? The correct answer is yeast. Now, before Laura flew back home, she wanted to explore the Christmas market of the kingdom. As she was waiting in line to get hot chocolate, a guy came up to her and congratulated her on her win. She could immediately tell who he was. Can you? He's the prince of the kingdom of Frostholm. Let's rewind a bit to when Laura was taking a tour of the palace. The prince's portrait is here among the royal family members' portraits, so she remembers him from there. The prince said he ate a slice of Laura's chocolate pie and loved it so much he was reminded of his childhood holidays. In return, he wanted Laura to take something from the market as his thank you gift and something to remind Laura of her days here. Laura decided to pick a snow globe from the souvenir stall. Look at these 3 snow globes. Which one should she pick? Do you see that the first snow globe is cracked at the back and slowly leaking liquid? That wouldn't stand the journey back. And the ballerina inside the second snow globe is blinking. Must be some kind of a haunted item. So she should pick the third snow globe. At the airport departure gate, Laura was stopped by security because the scanner bleeped every time she passed it. What could be causing that? It's because of the necklace chain that is dangling from the pocket of her jacket. But she didn't have anything like that. When she checked it to figure out who it belonged to, she noticed that the heart-shaped pendant had a message from the prince to her inside it. Hope to see you again. Aww.
Hey, Sherlock! Yes, you. Have you had your morning cup of coffee yet? Then put on your detective hat. It's time to work.
Yeah.
In 2 years, this dog is going to be twice as old as it was 5 years ago. How old is the dog at the moment? The pooch is 12 years old. Look at this picture. How many squares can you find here? There are 11 squares in this picture. Kudos if you found all of them. Mia is 3 times older than Anna. 3 years ago, Anna was a year younger than Amelia is now. Olivia is twice as old as Anna. Put the girls in order of their age. It goes like this: Mia, Olivia, Anna, and Amelia. David got lost in a jungle. After wandering for hours, he came to a place where the path split into 3 smaller trails. The first one led to an active volcano with red-hot lava bubbling in its crater. If David chose the second path, he would get to a clearing swarming with venomous bats. And the third path ended in a swamp, swallowing everything and everybody that got there. Where should he go? David should choose the second path. Most bats are only active at night. Plus, they almost never attack humans. A deaf man came to a store to pick up the flowers he had ordered for his wife. How did he explain to the shop assistant what he needed? He just said so. He was deaf, not mute. Here's a joke to lighten the mood. Don't take it too seriously. Why do elephants have wrinkles? No one is brave enough to iron them. Now, let's check how attentive you are. Your task is to figure out which vampire is the real one. The first vampire has a reflection. The second one doesn't have fangs. Only the third one is the real vampire. How about these mummies? Which one is real? The first one is the real mummy. The second one is just wearing a costume. See that zipper? And the third mummy has blue eyes. Now, you need to guess which of them is the ghost bride. Have you noticed that the first one is sweating? The third bride is just wearing a costume, but the second one is the real ghost. She's slightly transparent. Which of these ladies is the real mermaid? The first one is the real mermaid, the second girl has a zipper on the tail, and the third one is hiding a snorkeling mask behind her back. Your next task is to guess which of them is the real Leatherface. The first one has a saw with a label from a toy store. The second one has a can of red spray paint in his apron pocket. But the third one seems to be real. Which of these creatures is the real zombie? The first one is the real thing. The second one has a sandwich in his pocket. See? And the third one might have caught a cold. He has a runny nose. Try to guess who the real Slender Man is. The first one has a very realistic mask on his face, but we can still see a gap between the mask and his body. The third one has lost one of his gloves with long artificial fingers, but the second one is the real Slender Man. Which of these creatures is the real orc? The first one is the real orc, the second one doesn't have fangs, and the third one has a different skin tone on his face and body, so he must be wearing a mask. Physicists have built devices to move it very fast. The last 7 letters of its name can usually be found in newspapers, magazines, and journals. Can you figure out what I'm talking about? A particle. There are 3 playing cards in a row. You've got the following clues. There is a 2 to the right of a king. A diamond can be found to the left of a spade. An ace is to the left of a heart. A heart is to the left of a spade. Now, try to identify all 3 cards. The cards are the ace of diamonds, king of hearts, and 2 of spades. Lewis and his friend Mark were playing basketball. Suddenly, the ball landed in the garden of Lewis's neighbor, a very unfriendly gentleman. An even more unfriendly dog was guarding that garden. Luckily, it was tied to a tree, but the ball fell too close to that tree. If the dog spotted Lewis, it would follow the guy's every step. And if the guy came close enough, he would get bitten. How can Lewis get his ball back without getting hurt in the process? Louis should walk around the tree, staying out of that dog's reach. The dog will keep following him until the entire length of the animal's leash is wrapped around the tree. Then Louis should grab his ball and run away. The son of the dentist's father is talking to the father of the dentist's son, and the dentist isn't taking part in the discussion. Can you figure out these family ties? The dentist is a woman, and the people who are talking are her husband and her brother. Ice will melt if you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. What am I? I'm an egg. You buy this thing to eat, but you never eat it. What is it? It's a plate. James left a folder with important documents on the table in his home office and went to a business meeting. When he returned, he found out that the documents had disappeared. James had 3 suspects. His brother said, "I've been swimming in the pool since you left. I haven't seen or heard anything." The cook replied, "Tomorrow we're having a party, and I've been preparing the food." The security guard told James, "Hey, I've been outside all this time, checking the garden for mice. Who knows where the documents are?" It's the security guard. I bet his job description doesn't include pest control. Maria won the lottery and returned home with a large sum of money, but her sister called her and asked for help, so the girl had to rush out. Before leaving, she put the money under the carpet in her bedroom. When she came back, the money wasn't there. There were 3 people in her apartment while she was away. An electrician came to fix her AC. A neighbor visited to pick up some books, and Maria's housekeeper was cleaning the apartment. Who took the money? It was the housekeeper. She was the only person who had any reason to check under the carpet. You're trapped in a huge deserted mansion, far away from civilization. The windows are either boarded up or too high above the ground. The only tree that grows close enough to touch is too thin to hold you. The entrance door is also securely locked. You see 3 doors. All of them lead to freedom, but behind the first door, there's a raging fire. The second door hides hundreds of venomous scorpions, and behind the third door, there's a dark maze filled with different traps. What should you do? Break off a tree branch and light it in the first room. Now you have a torch. Escape through the maze that isn't dark anymore. You're locked in a room with 3 doors. You can safely walk through any of them, but the doorknobs are the real problem. The first one is under high voltage, and you won't survive touching it. The second is covered with dangerous poison. You can't let it get on your skin. And the third doorknob is so hot that it'll make your hand burn. Which doorknob should you try? The second one. You can take off any piece of clothing and use it to open the door. This way, you won't have to touch the doorknob with your hand. Vicky has as many brothers as sisters, but each of her brothers has only half as many brothers as sisters. How many brothers and sisters are there in Vicky's family? The correct answer is 4 sisters and 3 brothers. The key to solving this is to keep it simple. Just count the sisters and brothers in total and in terms of their own number of siblings. Vicky is a music teacher. One day, she came over to her student's house to give him a lesson. The door was unlocked, so Vicky got in. Her student, Mr. Green, was lying on the couch with the flu. He was very weak, and Vicky decided to call the 3 best doctors in this town. Since Mr. Green was really rich and influential, many people wanted to get rid of him. That's why his bodyguards had to search the doctors before they began any treatment. It turned out that one of the doctors was a criminal. Can you tell which one? This guy. Why does he need an axe? Mr. Green got well and returned to his business duties. He runs a small company producing expensive diamond rings. On Friday, when the working week was finally over, he got a call from his bank. Mr. Green found out that someone had stolen all the money he had. He suspected that it might have been one of his employees, so he asked each of them what they'd been doing that day. Helen, the jeweler, said she always made 2 rings a day and showed all the rings she had made that week. Jesse, the sales manager, said that he had been busy meeting with the clients. And Amber, the cleaner, said that she'd been cleaning the office every day as usual, and she didn't notice anything suspicious. Who lied? Helen. There are 5 working days in a regular week. She said she made 2 rings a day, but she only showed 8 rings. It means she missed 1 day of work. Vicky was walking down a shopping mall. Suddenly, she heard screams. Looking outside the window and saw 2 women in big trouble. Can you tell who has more chances to survive? Look at this lady's hand. It's made of metal. She's a robot, so she'll more likely survive this adventure. One morning, Vicky was walking in the park and noticed this missing cat poster. Can you help her find the cat in this area? It's hiding in this old lady's bag. Vicky explained to the old lady that the cat had been missing, but the old lady refused to give the cat away so easily. First of all, Vicky had to solve her riddle. I can whistle, I can howl, I can scream, and I can whisper, but I don't speak. What am I? Can you help Vicky? The correct answer is wind. After getting the cat, Vicky headed to its owner's home. She walked through this beautiful park. Can you spot what's wrong here? This bench doesn't have legs. It's literally flying in the air. Vicky brought the cat to its owner, Diana. She was very glad to get her pet back and invited Vicky for dinner. Vicky was very hungry and agreed. Diana served these 4 dishes with various foods, but only one of them is safe to eat. Can you tell which one? The coconut cake is sprinkled with some human nails. If you look closely at this tomato soup, you'll notice some metal nails. Something's moving inside this burger, so this pasta is the only edible dish here. After dinner, Diana made a confession. She was a real witch, but Vicky didn't believe in magic at all. That's why Diana offered her this deal.
If you solve my riddle, I'm gonna use some magic to fulfill your biggest wish. I'm beautiful, up in the sky, I'm magical, yet I cannot fly. To some people, I bring luck. To some people, wealth. What am I?
Can you help Vicky out? The correct answer is rainbow. Vicky has always wanted to become a famous singer. She received an invitation to a singing contest. Vicky sang beautifully and won first place. After the performance, she drank a glass of water backstage. After that, Vicky felt very sick. The contest manager called the ambulance. Doctors said that someone had poisoned Vicky. The police questioned 3 suspects and searched their bags. Lily said, "I was crying in the dressing room. This contest meant so much to me." Jessica said, "Who do you think I am? Singers should stand for each other." And Rose said, "I was outside the music hall with Lily. She was crying because she had lost this competition." Who poisoned Vicky? Lily said she was in the dressing room, while Rose said that they had been outdoors. Therefore, 1 or 2 of them are liars. But only Rose carries toothpaste but no toothbrush in her bag. That's pretty suspicious. When Vicky got better, she checked her mailbox and saw 3 messages from different music producers. Tom offered her a tour in Europe. Ryan offered Vicky to work on her first album at his record company in New York. And Joanna sent this invitation to participate in a TV show. But only one of these offers is real. Can you help Vicky make the right choice? Joanna's message is spam. She doesn't mention Vicky's name anywhere, and the text includes a suspicious link. Ryan sent Vicky a picture of his record company. But there are palm trees and a tropical forest outside the window. It's clearly not in New York. So, Vicky should pick Tom. Vicky was walking home from a rehearsal and stepped on a magical portal. She fainted and woke up in an enchanted forest. Suddenly, a wicked witch popped out of nowhere and gave Vicky a choice.
If you solve my riddle, I'll let you go. And if not, you'll get lost in this forest forever.
Here's the riddle. I can be flipped and broken, but I never move. I can be closed and opened, and sometimes removed. You can seal me with your hands. What am I? Unfortunately, Vicky failed to crack this riddle. And what about you? The correct answer is a deal. The wicked witch left Vicky alone in the forest. Vicky searched the area and found 3 paths leading to the nearest village. The first path goes through hungry wolves. Giant mutant plants are waiting in the second path. They eat all mammals, including human beings. And the third path is covered with a bunch of bugs and worms. Which way should Vicky go? Although insects are gross, they are the least harmful to humans, so Vicky should choose this path. Vicky got very hungry and decided to find some food in the village. When she came closer, she realized the gates were locked. Can you help her guess the right code? Take a look at the screen. It requires a 4-digit code. Someone decorated the gates with this symbol. It's a hint. If we divide this symbol into 4 parts, we will see that it's made up of 4 2s. So, Vicky should enter 2222 and come in. When Vicky entered the village, an angry pixie stopped her and said,
Not so fast, lady. You gotta solve one riddle first. What should you do when you see a green man?
Vicky cracked this puzzle right away. What about you? You should cross the road. Vicky solved it so easily because she was standing next to a traffic light. It turned out it wasn't an ordinary village. Various magical creatures lived here together. Vicky entered the local club and asked for some food. But the owner, Werewolf Fred, said, "If you want to eat, you gotta work." Now Vicky's job is to check the guests' ID cards. She shouldn't let suspicious persons or those under 21 get inside. Take a look at these 3 ID cards and figure out who shouldn't enter the club. The first one, Vampire, is already 21, and nothing looks suspicious in his ID, so Vicky should let him in. And this werewolf lady seems alright too. This elf's ID card says he was born on September 31st, but such a date doesn't exist. Therefore, Vicky shouldn't let the elf in. After work, Vicky went to the local supermarket to buy some food. She saw 2 attractive young ladies eating street food there. Can you tell which one of them isn't human? Take a closer look at this ice cream. Raw meat? This lady is definitely a werewolf. Vicky liked this village and decided to stay there. She met the love of her life, and 2 years later, they got engaged. Today is her wedding day. Can you guess who her husband is? It's the third guy. He's wearing a tie, which means he attended the wedding, and he's wearing a ring too.
David was crazy about mountain biking. It was his biggest passion in life, but his wife Jessica hated his hobby. She thought it was too dangerous. Once, David's friend Oliver invited him on an exciting rock climbing trip. David knew his wife would be against this idea, so he told her he would go fishing to the nearest lake for a couple of days. Jessica agreed but asked her husband to send a photo of him fishing. Once David arrived at the foot of the mountain, he photoshopped a fishing photo and sent it to his wife. As soon as she saw it, she immediately realized it was a fake. How come? Look, it's snowing. It means there has to be snow at the nearest lake too. But the photo David sent is totally snow-free. John had been in jail for a year. All this time, he'd been waiting for an opportunity to escape. One summer morning, he finally managed to break free. But it didn't go unnoticed. Several security guards started to follow John, and the man had to hide in the ladies' room. Look at the picture and try to figure out where John is. The man's hiding in the third stall. He wouldn't have had enough time to get a pair of women's shoes. An infinite number of mathematicians are waiting to make their orders in a coffee shop. The first one asks the barista for half a gallon of coffee. The second wants to have a quarter of a gallon. The third needs an eighth, and so on. How many gallons of coffee will the barista need to fulfill the wishes of all the mathematicians? Just one. A horse travels a certain distance every day. Strangely enough, 2 of its legs travel 20 miles every day, while the other 2 legs travel nearly 20.5 miles. It would seem that 2 of the horse's legs must be half a mile ahead of the other 2, but of course, this can't be true. The horse is a regular animal, so how is this situation possible? The horse operates the mill and travels in a circular clockwise direction. The two outside legs travel a greater distance than the inside ones. Now, I want to ask you not to take this riddle too seriously. Okay? Then listen attentively. There are 10 people in a house. Everyone wants to shake hands only with people shorter than themselves. Let's assume that everybody is different in height. How many handshakes will be made? And the correct answer is 0. Taller people do want to shake hands with shorter ones, that's true, but no one says that shorter people will want to shake hands with them in return. A man was to be sentenced for his crimes, and the judge told him, "You may make a statement. If it's true, I'll sentence you to 2 years in prison. If it's false, I'll sentence you to 5 years in prison." After the man made his statement, the judge decided to set him free. Can you figure out what the man said? He said, "You'll sentence me to 5 years in prison." If it was true, then the judge would have to make it false by sentencing him to 2 years. If it was false, then he would have to give him 5 years, which would make it true. So rather than contradict his own word, the judge set the man free. Look at these 2 women driving. One of them is actually a car thief. Can you figure out which one? It's the elderly lady. See those scratches near the door handle? A man got stranded on an island, and one of the main issues was that he couldn't swim. However, he managed to get off the island and return home safely. How did he do it? No one said the man got stranded on a deserted island. He just found some people and asked them to take him home by boat. A woman jumped off a cliff, but she didn't get hurt. How is this possible? She jumped off a cliff into a swimming pool in the water park. A boy fell off a 30-foot ladder, but he didn't get hurt. How is this possible? The boy fell off the bottom rung of the ladder. Now it's time to think outside the box. What will you get if you add 3 to 300 5 times? That's simple. 303, 303, 303, 303, 303. Now, what king can you make if you take the head of a lamb, the middle of a pig, the hind of a buffalo, and the tail of a dragon? You'll get a lion, the king of the jungle. See for yourself. The head of a lamb, the middle of a pig, the hind of a buffalo, and the tail of a dragon. L-I-O-N, lion. Martin had 3 daughters. The eldest daughter was the most honest girl in the universe. She always told the truth. The middle daughter sometimes told the truth, but sometimes she lied. The youngest daughter never said a single word of truth. One day, Martin brought home a marriage proposal for one of the girls. It was from a wealthy man named John. He wanted to marry either the eldest or the youngest daughter. This way, he could easily figure out whether the girl told the truth or lied. Martin had a condition for him. He said that he wouldn't tell John who the eldest, middle, or youngest daughter was. Also, he allowed John to ask only one question to identify the eldest or the youngest girl. And still, John asked just one question and found the right girl. What was the question? The question John asked was, is she older than her? He addressed his question to one of the daughters, pointing at the other two. You see, if the girl he asked turned out to be the eldest daughter, he'd know who the youngest one was, because no matter what, the eldest daughter always told the truth. If the girl he asked was the middle one, it wouldn't matter because the other two girls would both be acceptable choices. And if he asked the youngest daughter, she would lie, and he would identify the eldest girl. In any case, he needed to choose the youngest one based on the answer. Eric got lost in a museum. While he was trying to find a way out, it got late. All the doors were closed. Finally, he saw 3 staircases. The first one was all covered in bizarre nettles with razor-sharp leaves and long spikes. The second had giant stinking flowers with a stench almost impossible to bear. And the third staircase was an impassable jungle of cacti. Which staircase should Eric choose? He should run down the second staircase. Even though the flowers are gross, they're relatively harmless. Sarah got lost in a jungle. After wandering for hours, she finally came to a clearing with 3 narrow paths. Unfortunately, one of them was blocked by massive bushes with sharp thorns. The second was covered with trash and broken glass. And the third path was guarded by huge, scary-looking mantises. Which path should Sarah brave? The girl should choose the third path. Even though mantises look threatening, they're totally harmless. Chris was a truck driver. One Friday afternoon, he left Orangetown and was driving along the highway when he saw a man lying on the side of the road. Chris stopped and ran towards the man. After some time, he managed to bring the man around. His story was rather dramatic. He was a hitchhiker who tried to get to Orangetown. But halfway there, he had an argument with the driver and was thrown out of the car. The hitchhiker hit his head and lost consciousness. Now he was begging Chris to give him a lift to the town. Chris didn't believe the man's story and refused to help him. Why? The hitchhiker was lying on the right side of the road, but if he was going to Orangetown, he would be on the left side. It always stays hot, even when it's in the refrigerator. What is it? A pepper.
Megan here is a popular blogger from New York.
Hello.
Today, she's meeting her bestie, Rosie, in her favorite cafe.
Hello.
They're both on a diet, so they only order herbal tea and a piece of chocolate cheesecake to share. Megan and Rosie have a great time together and post some food pictures. But an hour later, Rosie faints. Doctors reveal that she was poisoned. Let's take a look at Megan's post. Can you figure out where the poison was? Rosie put sugar in her tea, and Megan didn't, so the poison was in the sugar packet. After taking care of Rosie, Megan's finally headed home. The door in her apartment building has a combination lock, and someone has recently changed the 4-digit password. Luckily, Megan finds a hint nearby. Can you help her figure out the new code? Multiply the first and last number. Then multiply the second and the third number. And the code is 2516. Megan goes up to her apartment. There's a stunning sunset going on out the window. She takes 2 pictures for her Instagram. Can you find 5 differences between them? Ready to see the differences? Here they are. Megan decides to eat some snacks and watch the videos of her favorite bloggers. One of these two ladies is a millionaire, while the other one is broke.
Oh.
Can you guess who is who? The second lady is broke. Can you see the Eiffel Tower and Big Ben in the background? She can't be in Paris and in London at the same time, can she? So her photo is fake, as well as her fancy lifestyle. Megan gets some cheesy comments from one of her subscribers,
What?
Evil Eye. But she doesn't take it seriously. She spends a great night with her friends. Late at night, Megan is walking back home alone. Suddenly, Evil Eye appears right in front of her. He grabs Megan and puts her into the trunk of his car. Megan faints. After a while, she wakes up in a basement and sees her fan drawing some sort of a flower on the floor. He says, "2 letters are missing here. Guess which ones and I'll set you free. If you don't, you'll stay here forever." Can you help Megan out? The missing letters are M and E. Megan returns home and discovers that someone has stolen her laptop. Well, this just isn't her day, is it? She calls the police and they interrogate 3 neighbors. Holly says, "I was cleaning my apartment with loud music playing, so I didn't hear anything suspicious." Paul said, "I was walking my dog for the last 2 hours. We just returned home. Everything looked as usual." And Alex said, "I spent the whole day at home. I only went out once, about an hour ago, to take out my trash. I noticed a strange guy in a hoodie at your door, but he left very quickly." Who's lying? Alex. He said he had taken out the trash, but take a look at his trash can. It's still full. The next day, Megan gets good news from the police. They caught Evil Eye, and he's in jail now.
Oh, yes.
He insists that the officer should give this note to Megan, but she has no clue what this means. What about you? Ready to see the solution? The note literally says, "Jailbreak at 11 a.m." Yay! Megan's favorite blogger has just posted a "What I Ate in a Day" video.
Oh, yes.
See if you can spot anything odd here. Wow, she keeps a saw in the fridge. Here's the next video. Can you spot any mistakes? Yep, this rainbow is fake. Today is Megan's 30th birthday. She's been preparing for a party for weeks. She bought a beautiful dress, cooked plenty of food, and decorated the apartment. A lot of friends are invited, including Megan's boyfriend, Jeff. Before the event, he calls Megan saying, "I'm in the office right now, but I promise to be at your place at 8 o'clock. Jeff comes home at 8:05. He brings flowers, a birthday cake, and a diamond necklace. But Megan is really mad. She throws the flowers into his face and bursts into tears. Why? Megan was expecting him to arrive at 8 p.m., but he came at 8 a.m. the next morning. In the evening, Megan decides to go buy some ice cream. She walks towards her favorite corner store on the block. Megan meets the owner of this store, Ted, on the street. "A masked man has just robbed the store and took all the cash." Megan explores the space and the broken shelves. Then she says, "I don't think it was just an ordinary robbery. The thief must be your enemy."
Oh, really?
How did she know? Take a closer look at the floor. The salt packages have been torn. Also, the thief opened the bottles so that the oil would leak out on the floor. Why would an ordinary thief waste time opening the bottles? Therefore, they had an intention to cause as much damage as possible. Megan takes Ted out for coffee to cheer him up. The waiter brings them 2 identical servings. Well, almost identical. Can you spot 3 differences between them? Here they are. Megan gets an invitation to a fancy party for bloggers. Only those who can crack this maze will actually find a way in. Can you help Megan reach the party? She should choose the 3rd route. Megan reaches the final destination. There are 3 doors, all covered with graffiti. Can you help her guess where the party is taking place? Let's take a closer look at the lettering on the doors. If we replace each letter with the previous one in the alphabet, we'll get party, toilet, and exit. Therefore, Megan should enter the 1st door. Security guards at the party got a report. Several criminals are planning to get in. That's why they scan everyone's bags very carefully. They find 3 suspicious people and arrest them. But one of them is innocent. Can you guess who? The second lady carries too many phones in her bag. A couple of smartphones and one old-fashioned button phone. As for the third guy, why would a bald man need shampoo at a party? It seems only the first lady isn't a criminal. Megan enters the party and goes to the bathroom to refresh her makeup. There, she meets 3 pretty ladies. 2 of them are vampires. Can you tell who's not? This lady who's standing next to Megan is a human because she has a reflection. Therefore, the 2 others are vampires. Megan wants to rent a cozy cabin to spend a weekend in the woods. She's looking through a special app and finds 4 available options, but only one of them is safe enough. Can you help Megan make the right decision? The second house looks pretty cozy, but there's a creepy clown hiding behind the tree. And the price is suspiciously low. According to the info box, the third house was built 9 centuries ago, but it looks pretty modern, so it's probably a scam. The fourth house is chic and high-tech, but the window glass is covered with cracks, which is not safe at all. So Megan should choose the first cabin. Finally, it's the weekend. Megan hits the road to go to the cabin. On the way, she makes a stop to visit the local farmer's market. Megan picks some lemons. She wants to pay, but her phone is gone. She interrogates 3 people standing nearby. Kim says, "I didn't touch your phone. I was too busy selling my tomatoes." Magna says, "I was taking pictures of my shop for social media. See for yourself if you don't believe me." And Bianca says, "I think it was Kim. Her business has not been going well recently." After hearing what they had to say, Megan knows for sure who's the thief. What about you? Check out Magnus's basket with vegetables. He hid Megan's phone among the carrots. Megan orders a beverage at the local coffee shop and looks around. One of the customers is not human. Can you figure out who? The waitress. Her eyes are blinking red. Maybe she didn't get a tip.
It's Emma's first day at her new job. She moved to San Francisco to start at this new tech company, and everything is new to her. As soon as she arrived, an intern led her to the boss's office for a briefing. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who Emma's boss is? I know he looks pretty young, but it's the guy on the left. His blazer is on the boss's chair. After her briefing, Emma was sent down to the IT lab to set up her corporate account. A guy named Lanny was going to help her with everything, but he said Emma needed to answer a few of his riddles correctly first. Since she had no option, she went all in. For his first riddle, Lenny asked her why the IT department recently hired a spider. Can you help Emma out? Because it was a great web designer. Duh! For his next riddle, he asked Emma why an invisible man turned down a job offer at their company. What would you say is the answer here? Because he simply couldn't see himself doing it. On Emma's second day of work, her boss texted her saying to look for a woman named Helen. Since he was super busy, Helen was supposed to give Emma the details of her next assignment. The thing is, Emma had no idea who Helen was. Take a look at the office. Can you help Emma find Helen? Look at that woman right there. She's got a necklace with the initial H on it. And plus, her badge says Helen. It's safe to say that's her right there. Emma's been working a lot trying to catch up with everything, so she's almost forgotten to grab lunch. By the time she went down to the cafeteria, there weren't many options left. Take a look at the picture. What's Emma's safest choice? Let's see. That burger looks nice, but there's a lipstick stain on the bun, so that's a no. The apple pie is steaming, but it looks like it's been microwaved dozens of times, and it's about to go bad.
Oh,
Her safest choice is probably the frozen pizza.
okay.
They defrost it on the spot. Hey, at least like this, she won't get food poisoning. At the end of the first week, Emma was helping her boss with an important project. It was late at night, and all of a sudden, the lights went out.
Oh my God.
The power was cut from the entire building for a few minutes, until it came back on. The boss immediately thought about the classified documents he kept in an electric safe, down in the basement. Emma tagged along with him to check out the safe, but when they got there, they saw the safe was empty.
Oh my God.
Someone had caused a power shortage and stolen the documents. As soon as the police arrived, they started to conduct an investigation. Lanny, the IT guy, said he got stuck inside his office when the power went out because he couldn't open the electric door. Helen, the floor supervisor, said she had taken the opportunity to take a nap since she couldn't go home. Brian, one of the new consultants, said he had gone to the kitchen to make some tea and wait until the power came back on. Can you tell who's lying? Brian is the liar. He couldn't make tea without any electricity, since there was no stove in the kitchen and the kettle wouldn't work. On a rainy morning, Emma pressed the snooze button on her phone too many times and left the house pretty late for work. She needed to find a quicker path to work. She put her office's address on Google Maps and it showed her 3 options. Each path had a different obstacle that would take her some time to get across. For example, while going around a tree takes 3 seconds, going around a bush takes 2 seconds. And if she crosses a stop sign, she has to stop for 1 second. Take a look at the image. Can you help Emma choose the fastest track? The fastest track is the one on the right. That's the track with the least obstacles. It's lunchtime and Emma goes to the fridge to grab the sandwich she brought from home. But when she opens the fridge, she notices that her food is missing. Someone probably ate her burrito. She decides to conduct a quick investigation to see who stole her lunch. her boss ordered some expensive takeout from a new restaurant in town. Joe, her colleague, is highly allergic to gluten, so he ate something he brought from home as well. Helen, the supervisor, ate a delicious salad bowl from the cafeteria. Take a look at the picture. Can you guess who stole Emma's lunch? It was Joe. His hands are all swollen. He probably ate the burrito even though he's allergic to gluten. Yikes! Since she moved to San Francisco, Emma has been living with 2 other girls in a tiny apartment. She's got the feeling that one of the girls doesn't really like her. One day when she got home from work, there were 3 apples on her desk and a small note. The note said the apples were a housewarming gift, but it didn't say from whom. Take a look at the picture. Are any of these apples safe to eat? The one that has the little worm in it is the safest one. Who knows? Maybe the other ones are poisoned, or worse. Emma's boss asked her to pick up his car from the car shop and drive it to their office. She wanted to impress him, so she said yes. She picked up the car and drove it through the steep hills of San Francisco before arriving at the office building. Once she got there, she saw the reception was on fire. Right next to the double glass doors, there was a fire hydrant she could use to fight the fire. Which door should Emma open first? The car door. Duh! Today, Emma's task at work was to help Helen, her supervisor, hire a new social media manager. Together, they analyzed 3 different resumes. The first one was from a woman named Angela. She is 23 years old and doesn't have a lot of company experience, but she's eager to learn. Thomas is 28 years old and has 7 years of work experience. He says he's been working for Google since the company was founded. And then there's Bianca, who's 20 years old and has been making viral TikTok stories for over 2 years. Who should they hire? They should probably hire Angela. Thomas lied in his resume because Google was founded in 1998, and Bianca can't be an expert at making TikTok stories since TikTok doesn't have this option to begin with. Helen asked Emma to run an important errand for her. Her only request was for Emma to be fast. The thing is, Emma needed to cross town to get to the place Helen asked her to go. So, she decided to cross the big park that connected the town. Somewhere along the way, Emma got lost and found herself at the intersection of 3 pathways. At the entrance of the first pathway, there was a huge pond. At the entrance of the second path, there was a pile of really toxic waste. And blocking the entrance of the last pond, there was a hungry-looking bear. Which path should Emma choose? She should go for the first one. Sure, she'll be a bit wet, but at least she won't be eaten by a bear. At the entrance of Emma's new apartment, someone installed a coded machine to open the door, but didn't give any hints. The buttons are shaped like animals. There's a butterfly, a tiger, a bear, and a dolphin. Do you have any idea which button Emma should press? She should press the bear. Look inside the building through the glass doors. The emblem of the building is a bear.
Now, what would you say if someone invited you to visit a chocolate factory and try every sort of sweets they have there? Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But what if I told you that after you tasted all kinds of treats, the crazy factory owner wouldn't want to let you go? To get away, you need to solve all these riddles. You've got 3 cups of hot chocolate. One of them will make you sleepy. Can you figure out which one? Only one of the cups isn't steaming. Must be because it's an iced drink. The insane chocolatier must have put sleeping pills in the ice cubes. Don't drink it. Now the factory owner wants to play a short riddle game with you. If you solve all the brain teasers, he'll give you the keys and let you go home. So let's begin. How do you spell candy in just 2 letters? That's how. What do you call a bear with no teeth? The gummy bear. Why did the boy put candy under his pillow? Because he wanted to have sweet dreams. What types of beans don't thrive in the garden? Jelly beans, of course. Now, you need to find all the sweets the chocolatier has hidden here. Pancake, donut, ice cream, candy, and cookies. Well done! To get further, you need to choose the right door to get through. You've got a keychain that says 4, but there are only 3 doors in front of you. Which door should you choose? The one on the left. The symbols on the doors are actually numbers. Once you open the needed door, you're presented with the next brain teaser. How do programmers like their candy corn? Well, bite-sized. What type of candy is never on time? Chocolate. I'm made of 2 colors, and I look like a hook. You'll give me a lick, but I'm not something you cook. What am I? A candy cane. Now how about this tricky riddle? What's red, white, and blue? It's a sad candy cane. A group of men walks into a candy store. There are 2 fathers and 2 sons. They each buy a candy bar for 50 cents. The total for all the candy bars is $1.50. How is it possible? Well, there are just 3 people, a grandfather, a father, and a son. Imagine purchasing 2 different pieces of candy. Together they cost $1.10. One candy cost $1 more than the other candy. So, what is the price of each piece of candy? One is 5 cents, and the other is $1.05. What does a candy cane say to another candy cane during a strong storm? Hurry, Cane! You've almost reached the end of this challenge. You see gates. You need a password to open them. Solve this puzzle and the answer is your password. The answer is 20. Congrats, you're free to go. But it's not the end of your adventures. Now you need to play the role of a detective and help some people who are in trouble. An important secret document is missing, and Justin has to find it before his boss comes back from his vacation. The guy has found out that only 3 people in his department could have taken the document. When the papers disappeared, Randy was in his office analyzing a new case. Johnny was taking a shower before his regular gym workout, and Kayla was at her firearms training. Who took the document? It was Johnny. Hey, who takes a shower before a workout? Detective Robinson was invited for dinner at a suspect's house. The potential criminal offers him 3 dishes to choose from. The detective examines the dishes very attentively. Look at them and say which dish is safe to eat. These chocolate chip cookies look fine, until you notice that the chocolate chips are actually bugs. The steam over this bowl with soup is suspiciously green. This dish is likely poisoned. The only safe option is apples. Look at this tiny worm. If it can feed on the apple and survive, it's most likely okay to eat. Now you find yourself in a photo gallery. After looking at the wall, you realize one of the pictures doesn't belong there. You see a raccoon, a llama, a football, and a balloon. Can you tell which is the odd one out? It's the llama picture. The other 3 objects have 2 double letters in their names, but the llama only has 1 double. Linda is in a cafe with her boyfriend, and their date isn't going very well. At one point, they both get angry and start fighting. Suddenly, their waiter comes up to their table and hands something to Linda. It's a note with a strangely written word. Linda is confused. What does it mean? Can you figure it out? It's a rebus puzzle. The waiter is worried and asks Linda, "Are you in trouble?" In the land of green glass doors, there are books but no words, riddles but no answers, sheets but no blankets, cherries but no oranges. Can you name something else that you can find in the land of green glass doors? It can be any word that has double letters in it. If you take your friends to the movies and you're paying, what is cheaper? To invite 2 friends at the same time or to invite 1 friend twice? It will cost you less to invite 2 friends at once. This way, you'll have to buy 3 tickets. If you invite 1 friend twice, you'll pay for 4 tickets. A police officer called Mark was questioning Mary, a suspect in a tricky smuggling case. The girl refused to talk. At one point, she shouted, "I'll drown my phone in this cup filled with coffee, and you'll never find out the truth." But Mark was totally unbothered by her threat. Why? The cup was filled with coffee beans. They would do no harm to the gadget. Once, a bank was robbed. The police suspected that one of the bank's security guards had helped the criminals. A police officer came to question 3 of them. The first security guard told him he had heard some shouting and rushed there. But by the time he arrived, the criminals had already been gone. The second security guard explained he had been drinking a cup of coffee at that moment and hadn't even heard anything. And the third guard said that he had run after the thieves, but he had to stop to lace his boot. When he crouched near an emergency exit, the door opened and hit him on the head, and he lost consciousness. When he came back to his senses, the criminals had already left. The officer immediately understood which guard was guilty. Who was it? It was the third security guard. All emergency doors open outward for safety reasons. Detective Roland finished his working day and decided to drop by his favorite coffee shop. But while he was ordering his cappuccino, someone took his wallet. He only saw a man's retreating figure. The detective ran after him and saw the man driving away in a black car. Roland jumped into his own car and started following him. He couldn't drive too fast since it was raining. In a few minutes, the black car disappeared around the corner. When the detective got there, he saw 3 similar black cars parked in front of an apartment building. It didn't take him long to understand which car belonged to the thief. How did he find out if he didn't see the man's license plate? The ground under the first and third cars is dry, but beneath the second car, it's wet. It means it has just arrived. You find yourself in the middle of a forest, confused and barefoot. You see 3 paths in front of you. One is covered with burning coals, another is freezing cold, and the third path is littered with sharp nails. Which path should you choose? Pick the second path. All that ice is bound to be gone soon. It's too close to hot coals. So Nick and Oliver are twins, and they want to throw a birthday party. They have a limited budget, so they want to get as much yummy food as they can for the lowest price possible. Sure thing, they want to have some pizza. An 18-inch pizza costs $5. Wow, on what planet? Oh wait, this is hypothetical. Meanwhile, a 12-inch pizza costs $3. Oliver is a geometry geek, and he says it's better to grab one 18-inch pizza. Nick doesn't feel this way. So, what's bigger, one 18-inch pizza or 2 12-inch ones? Well, there are 2 answers to that. Geometry claims the area of 2 12-inch pizzas is equal to 226 square inches, but the 18-inch one is 254 square inches. Well, from this point of view, you'd rather grab an 18-inch one. But hey, geometry and cooking are 2 completely different things. So it's the weight that matters here. The more the weight, the more calories there are. So you know what to choose, and there will be enough pizza for everyone. Seems like Nick's right. How can you divide 5 pears among 5 people so that each of them gets a pear and at the same time 1 pear remains in the basket? Well, this one's pretty easy. No need to cut any of those pears. Just let one person take the pear right in the basket. There are 2 ropes, and each of them burns completely in 1 hour. There is also an ordinary box of matches. How can we measure exactly 45 minutes of time using only these objects given to us? There's a condition though. Ropes are not allowed to be torn. We set fire to one rope from 2 ends. It'll burn out in half an hour. At the same time, we set fire to the second from one end, and half of it will burn in half an hour. When the first burns out, we set fire to the second from the second end. From both ends, it will now burn out in 15 minutes. It will take 45 minutes in total. The passenger elevator rises to the 5th floor twice as fast as the freight elevator to the 3rd floor. Which elevator will come first? Freight to the 3rd floor or passenger to the 5th, if they started moving from the 1st floor at the same time? Hey, have you noticed that the answer is hidden in the question? Yeah, a passenger elevator goes up faster. Okay, 4 players sat down one evening and played all night until dawn. When they finished playing, everyone counted how much money he had in his wallet. It turned out that during the night, everyone got $100 more, and no one lost. How can it be? Nope, these guys didn't play cards. These were musicians. They played as a quartet, after which they received their fee. Max has got to get up at 7 in the morning every weekday to get to work on time. Unfortunately, his alarm clock is not quite accurate. In 3 days, he's 9 minutes behind. Assuming that at 11 p.m. on Sunday, Max checks his watch and sets the correct time, when does the alarm actually go off on Tuesday morning? The clock is 3 minutes behind per day, or 1 minute every 8 hours. From Sunday at 11 p.m. to Tuesday at 7 a.m., there will be 32 hours. Thus, the clock will be 4 minutes behind and the alarm will ring at 7:04. One trader plans to go around 30 markets to find a suitable place for future trading. In his hands, he has 3 bags of apples that cannot be left at home. The merchant is forced to carry fruit with him. Unfortunately, everyone who enters the market with food must pay a tax, 1 fruit from each bag. How many apples will the merchant have after visiting all the markets if he's interested in keeping as many fruits as possible? There are some conditions. First off, keep in mind that initially, the merchant had 90 fruits. Next, remember that each bag can hold no more than 30 apples. And the last one, apples can be transferred from bag to bag. After visiting 10 markets, the merchant will completely empty 1 bag. The second bag will be empty after visiting 15 more markets. Now there are only 5 markets left, and the merchant will leave 5 apples there. He'll be left with 25 fruits, and he probably won't find a decent place for trading. I guess the merchant should start some small business online. 4 pairs of friends decided to go on a picnic together. Mary ate 3 sandwiches, Kathy 2, Lena 4, and Maria 1 sandwich. Jack ate as many sandwiches as his girlfriend Mary, Bob twice as much as his girlfriend, Alex 3 times as much, and Vincent 4 times as much as his girlfriend. Altogether, they ate 32 sandwiches. What's the name of Alex's girlfriend? It's Maria. Jack ate 3 sandwiches, and his girlfriend is Mary. Bob pounded down 8 sandwiches, and his girlfriend is Lena. Vincent wolfed down 8 sandwiches, while Kathy only ate 2. Alex ate 3 sandwiches, so his girlfriend is Maria. Hey, I can read your mind. If you don't believe me, then think of a number. Keep it simple. You'll have to do a bit of math here. And you may probably need a calculator to play this guessing game with me. So, you think of a number. Now, multiply it by 3. Done? Okay. Now add 6. Next step, you need to divide this number by 3. Now subtract the number you thought of from the resulting number. Let me guess, as a result, you got 2, right? No magic involved, it's just a smart math riddle. It works with any number. The savannah was on fire. 3 lions and 3 zebras fled to save their lives. To escape the fire, they need to cross a river swarming with crocodiles. There was a raft nearby that can carry 2 animals at a time, and it needs at least 1 lion or 1 zebra on board. Also, the lions can't outnumber the zebras on either side of the river even for a moment. Lunch. So, how can all of them safely cross the river? First, a lion and a zebra should cross the river. The lion stays on the other bank and the zebra goes back. For the second crossing, the 2 lions take the raft, but only one of them stays on the other side. 1 lion returns. Next, 2 zebras cross the river. To send the raft back, there should be a lion and a zebra on it. Now there is a lion and a zebra on the safe bank, and 2 zebras and 2 lions on the bank that's on fire. For the next crossing, 2 zebras take the raft. Now all the zebras are safe, and the lion can bring his friends one by one. Mr. Daniels is a math professor. He wanted to make it simpler for his students, so he suggested an idea. Whoever can solve the problem he gives does not have to take the exam at the end of the semester. The problem was, how can the number 5 be half of 4? A. If you were Mr. Daniels' student, would you have to take the exam? Well, to solve the problem, you need to use Roman numerals and not Arabic, as we typically do. In Roman numerals, IV stands for 4 and V stands for 5. Seems like 5 is indeed half of 4, according to this logic. Ready for a short one? Of course you are. So, if it's an odd number, but if you take away a letter and it becomes even, what number is that? It's 7. Just take away the S and you'll get the word even. Yeah, I know. And this one is just a pro tip for you. If you ever struggle to learn all the digits in the pi number, just give up. There are trillions of them. But there is a trick to remember at least 7. Just say, how I wish I could calculate pi. There are 3 letters in how, 1 in I, 4 in wish, 1 in I again, 5 in could, 9 in calculate, and 2 in pi. You got 3.141592. Yeah, I could have used that.
5 people wake up in a huge hall. None of them remember who they are or how they got here. They see a giant closed door. The people look around the room and notice something strange. What is it? These statuettes! They are hidden all over the room. There are 5 people in the room, but they find 6 statuettes. This must be the key, one man says. We need to find out which of the statuettes is the odd one. Can you guess which one? This one. Its eyes are different from those of the others. The people try to use the odd statuette as a key.
Come on!
And it works! The door opens, and everyone enters the next room. But when the man who suggested using the statuettes looks around, he sees that he is alone in there. Suddenly, a ghost of a woman appears in front of him. If you want to get out, each of you must solve my riddles, she says. But you will definitely fail. She disappears. The man looks around the room. He finds a strange symbol and a cipher decoder on the table. Can you find 9 other symbols? These are all 10 symbols. The man begins to unravel the message using a decoder. Can you decipher it? It says page 52. The man opens the book lying on the table. On page 52, there's a riddle written in an ancient language. If you have me, you want to share me. If you share me, you haven't got me. What am I? The man immediately guesses the answer. Can you? It's a secret. The man is surprised that he was able to read the riddle written in an ancient language. The answer is the password to the door. He types it in, and the door opens. Suddenly, he remembers. His name is Thomas. He's a linguist and a cryptographer. Meanwhile, in another room, a young man finds himself in a beautiful place full of plants. There are 3 flowers on the table. They giggle maliciously. The sign in front of them reads, "Lying Flowers." The first flower says, "You'll never get out of here, and you'll never get rid of us. Just give up already." The second one says, "I don't remember how you can get rid of us. It was either cutting or uprooting us." The third one says, "Uprooting and plucking us are both proper ways." What should the guy do? Cut the flowers, uproot them, or pluck them? Pluck is the correct answer. These flowers only tell lies. So, the conclusions we can draw from their words are these. 1. There is a way to get rid of them. 2. It is neither cutting nor uprooting. 3. And there's only one way to remove them. The only thing that remains is plucking. The guy plucks the flowers. He notices that glowing letters appear on their petals. The letters need to be put together to get the answer. What is it? The word is basket. The guy examines the basket and finds a folded note at the bottom. He unfolds it and reads this riddle. In a pond, there are some flowers with bees hovering over them. How many flowers and bees are there if both of the following statements are true? 1. If each bee lands on a flower, one bee won't get a flower. 2. If every 2 bees share a flower, there is 1 extra flower. Can you help the guy crack this riddle? There are 4 bees and 3 flowers. Suddenly, a sunflower bud appears on the table. The guy uses it as a key to the door, and it opens. And then he remembers. His name is John, and he's a gardener. In another room, a girl finds herself surrounded by beautiful crystals and gemstones. On the wall, there's a board with the names and pictures of different gems. Some of the gems are the answers to these riddles. 1. Did you know that the queens and the kings of all times really enjoyed that pretty purple color of mine? 2. My name is like water. I'm as blue as the sea. Can you guess what I am and which picture is me? 3. Hey, I am from water as well. I'm seen in strings and found inside a shell. 4. You know me so well. Come on, be excited. I created the city where a wizard resided. 5. I sound like danger, but please don't be scared. I'm striped like a cat and named after its stare. Can you match the riddles and the gems? The correct answers are 1. Amethyst, 2. Aquamarine, 3. Pearl, 4. Emerald, and 5. Tiger's eye. The girl hears some noise and notices that the box on the table has opened. She comes up to the box and reads the next riddle. The queen went to the king to complain about her lady-in-waiting. In the morning, the queen put her amethyst necklace in a jewelry box to protect it from sunlight. No wonder, this stone tends to fade in the sun. She spent the day in the library reading books. At one point, she looked out of the window and noticed her lady-in-waiting. She was sitting in the garden, wearing the queen's necklace. The lady-in-waiting began crying and said this was not true. She would never steal from the queen. The king opened the jewelry box and found out that the necklace was still inside. Who is lying? The girl soon realizes that the lady-in-waiting is the liar. Have you noticed that the amethyst is now much dimmer than before? That means that the lady-in-waiting really wore the necklace outside. The girl solves the riddle. 3 gemstones appear at the bottom of the jewelry box: citrine, garnet, and alexandrite. There's also a note that says, "Figure out the weight of each stone without using scales. This riddle will help you." Can you figure out the weight of each stone? The citrine weighs 10 ounces, the garnet weighs 4 ounces, and the alexandrite weighs 2 ounces. Suddenly, the girl remembers. Her name is Melissa. She is a jeweler and collects crystals. In another room, a woman finds 6 glasses on the table. 3 of them are empty, and 3 are full of water. The woman sees a note. Move only 1 glass to make a row of alternately full and empty glasses. How can she do it? She should take the 5th glass and pour the water into the second one. Suddenly, the glasses disappear. Instead, 2 sets of different ingredients and a note appear on the table. The note says, "Find 3 differences." Can you spot all of them? These are the differences. The woman takes the ingredients and throws them into a cauldron, but something is missing. Shiny and beautiful, a werewolf's fear. We need to get more of it for our precious queen. Coins and mirrors, trays and tea sets, the nobles were buying while falling in debts. It's silver. The woman adds some silver and gets a potion that can melt the lock. When she opens the door, she remembers. Her name is Lauren, and she's a chemist. An elderly woman finds herself in this room. She spots 4 photos on the table. All the photos seem to be taken in different periods of time. The note says, "Is there a person who is present in every photo?" Can you help the woman figure it out? Here she is. Despite the signs of aging, you can see that this is the same woman. Look, she has this mole above her lip. A mirror appears in front of the elderly woman. Wait, is that her? The woman from the photos? The mirror shows her with a guy in a suit. He looks confused. There's a maid on the left and a bride on the right. "Don't listen to her. I'm your wife," says the bride. "You're lying. I'm his wife," the maid cries. Can you guess who is lying? The girl on the left is his wife because she has a wedding ring on her finger. Wait, she also has the same mole above her lip. Is this our elderly woman when she was young? The letters appear in the mirror. IVTCBOE. What does that mean? I'll give you a hint. Try to think outside the box. It's husband. Each letter in this word is replaced by the next letter in the alphabet. And suddenly, the woman remembers. Her name is Brienne. She's a witch, and this is her castle. Brienne opens the door. Everyone else has already gathered outside. "I'm your mother," she says. "We know," Thomas replies. "Another witch tried to steal our father. She erased our memories and put a spell on him. I deciphered the recipe for the potion that can help him remember, but I'll need your help. There is a large cauldron in the hall. Everyone uses their knowledge to prepare the potion. Now Brienne must cast a spell. Solve the puzzle to find out the magic word. It's Memoria. The potion is ready. Suddenly, 3 doors appear in front of the family. Behind the first door, there's a hot desert, but there are some fruits on the trees growing there. The second door opens to the middle of the sea. Behind the third door, there's an endless forest. What should the family do? They should use the trees to make a raft and pick up the fruits so that they don't starve. Now they can cross the sea. Meanwhile, Brienne uses a spell to chain the witch. Solve another puzzle to learn the spell she uses. It's Sigillum. Now the witch won't bother them anymore. The family leaves the castle and lives happily ever after.
Poor Brad finds himself locked in a dungeon of a magical castle. Beats me how he got there, but he just needs to escape as soon as possible. Brad looks around searching for some keys to open one single door. But he only finds these 3 potions. The first one makes you super small, the second potion turns you into a giant, and the third one makes you invisible. Can you help Brad find the correct potion? He should drink the first potion and escape through the keyhole. Brad leaves the dungeon successfully and finds himself in a hallway. Suddenly, he returns to his normal height. Oh no! A creepy guard patrols the area. Brad shouldn't catch his eye. He finds a box nearby and opens it. There's an axe, an invisibility cloak, and some handcuffs. Brad can only choose one thing. Can you pick up the most useful item for his escape? Brad should grab the cloak, blend into the interior, and escape unnoticed. Brad leaves the hallway safely and faces 3 doors leading to the bedrooms of 3 mysterious creatures. The first bedroom belongs to a vampire. He can fly and smell humans for miles. A hungry zombie is dancing all over the second bedroom. And a creepy mummy is living behind the third door. Anyone who sees it gets cursed automatically. Which way is more or less safe? Brad should choose the first door. Take a look outside the window. The sun is shining, which means the vampire is probably sleeping. Brad walks through the vampire's bedroom and finds himself on a balcony. There are 3 windows that he can climb through. The first passage is filled with toxic fog. A dragon is sleeping behind the second window, and venomous snakes are crawling all over the third passage. Can you help Brad pick the correct window? Brad still has his invisibility cloak, remember? So he should just stay quiet and walk through the second passage. Nailed it! Brad enters the library. He spots 3 books: Potions for Beginners, How to Ride Your First Dragon, and The History of Vampires. Can you pick a book that will help Brad escape? We've just seen a dragon, remember? Brad can try to escape from the castle with its help, so he should read the second book. Brad puts on his cloak and returns to the dragon's room. It's awake and ready to fly. Brad manages to climb onto the dragon's back and they rise into the air. Suddenly, the dragon spots its fellow dragon and tries to throw Brad off. Which location is the best for landing? The roof, the bridge, or the well? Brad should land on the bridge because it's the shortest way out. Brad lands on the bridge successfully, but the dragons destroy some parts of it right away. There are fires here and there. Brad should find a way to reach the gates. He looks around, hoping to find something helpful. He can choose only one of these 3 items: a rope, a broom, or a tablecloth. What would you suggest? It's a magic castle, remember? Brad should grab the broom and fly over the flames. Brad hears a lady scream from a tower near the gates. It's Princess Elsa. She was imprisoned by the local wicked wizard. The key to her cage is hidden in this messy room. Can you help Brad find it? Hey, over here. Elsa says, "The wizard stole my ruby ring. This magical artifact is super strong. We need to return it as soon as possible. Otherwise, the whole world is doomed." Brad goes to the wizard's workroom, but the door is locked. Can you help him figure out a 5-number passcode to open it? Take a look at the symbols on the door. Each image implies a number. The word frog consists of 4 words, so it implies 4. Cat implies 3, flower 6, and so on. And the code is 43643. Brad enters the workroom. Thankfully, it's empty. Can you find any clues about where the ruby ring might be hidden? There's no window, but curtains are fluttering in the wind. That's because this bookcase on the left is a secret door. Brad enters the secret door and finds a dusty basement with a treasure box. It's guarded by a troll. The troll says, "I'll let you open the box if you manage to crack my puzzle. Listen carefully. I'm not alive, but I grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. I don't have a mouth, but I'm afraid of water. What am I?" Can you help Brad solve this riddle? The correct answer is fire. Brad opens the box and grabs the ring. The wicked wizard enters the room and yells at him. Brad starts to run away. He needs to break through this maze to escape from the basement. Can you help him? Here's the only way out. Brad escapes successfully. He returns the ruby ring to Elsa and gives her a ride back to her native kingdom. Can you spot anything odd in this town? This guy is selling meat, not fresh books. Elsa invites Brad to her castle. She wants to throw a party to celebrate her return. But first, she takes a bath. Oh no, her ruby ring is gone again. Elsa left it on a table in her bedroom. Only 3 maids are allowed to enter this room, so Elsa questions them. Helga says, "I was just preparing essential oils for your skin. I didn't look around." Nina says, "I sewed your party dress in your bedroom. Nobody entered." And Diana says, "I was preparing your favorite tea. I didn't see anything suspicious." Who stole the ring? Nobody. It's still in the room. Take a look under the table. Hello? They probably dropped the ring on the floor by accident. The party begins. The local chef puts these 3 dishes in front of Brad. One of them is not safe to eat. Can you guess which one? Take a closer look at this pasta. These little things look like worms, so Brad should probably stay away from this dish. All right, time to dance. 3 ladies approach Brad and invite him onto the dance floor, but only one of them is safe to dance with. Can you figure out who? Take a look at the 3rd lady's reflection in the mirror. She's an old witch under a beauty spell. And the 1st lady doesn't have a reflection, so she's probably a vampire. Therefore, Brad should dance with the 2nd lady.
Oh, yeah.
During the dance, Brad accidentally hits an antique vase. It falls and one fragment breaks off. Can you find the broken fragment among these 13 options? Only this piece fits perfectly.
Yeah!
Elsa announces a contest. She's willing to give away a fancy mansion to the one who solves her riddle. What king can you make if you take the head of a lamb, the middle of a pig, the hind of a buffalo, and the tail of a dragon? The head of the lamb is the letter L. The middle of a pig is the letter I. The hind of a buffalo is the letter O, and the tail of a dragon implies the letter N. So, the correct answer is lion. He's the king of the jungle, so it makes perfect sense. Elsa cuts the royal cake. Every guest gets a slice. Brad returns from the dance floor and discovers that someone took a bite of his slice. He questions 3 suspects nearby. Morgana says, "I didn't do it. I'm on a gluten-free diet, so I gave my slice away to my husband." Leonard says, "I count every calorie, sir, so I never eat more than 1 piece." And Franklin says, "Sorry, I didn't look at your cake. I was looking at my beloved Elsa." Who's lying? It's unlikely that a person on a gluten-free diet can eat this dessert. Therefore, Morgana lied. Finally, Brad is leaving this weird kingdom. He needs to tell a 2-word password to the guard at the gates. Here's a hint. You do it every morning. And the password is wake up. Whew, that was just a dream. Or was it?
Who is wanted? The girl on the right. She has the same mole as the girl on the poster. Who is an identity thief? It's the man on the right. His real ID is sticking out of his backpack, which means he must be showing a fake ID. Who is an imposter? The girl on the left. The script she's reading is turned upside down. It means she only pretends to be an actress. Who is the real thief? Both of these men are thieves. While one man is distracting the girl, the other is preparing to steal her phone. The last will of Mr. Wilson, a rich businessman, got stolen. There were 5 people in the house at that moment: Mr. Wilson's wife, their cook, butler, maid, and gardener. They all told the detective what they'd been doing that evening. Mrs. Wilson was sitting by the fireplace embroidering. The cook was making breakfast. The butler was supervising several workers in the living room. The maid was sweeping the floors in the hallway. The gardener was watering the plants in the greenhouse. Right after this conversation, the detective arrested the thief. Who is the culprit? And how'd the detective figure it out? The cook is the thief. He said he'd been preparing breakfast, but the crime happened in the evening. Lily owned a flower store. One day, she got a call from the police. They told her that her shop had been robbed. When she arrived, shards of glass were on the ground near the store, and the pots and plants inside were broken. The police questioned 3 suspects. Jacob, Lily's ex, said, "I was in a hurry and didn't notice that the windows were broken when I was passing by the store. I only realized what had happened when the police called me." Camille, Lily's friend, said,
Lily asked me to help her with something in the store. When I arrived, everything had already been broken. I called the police immediately.
Matt, Lily's ex-coworker, said,
I was walking nearby and I saw someone breaking a window and sneaking into the shop. I left my phone at home, so I ran to the police station.
Can you guess who's lying? Matt is lying. Shards of glass were laying on the ground, which meant that the criminal had to break the window from the inside. Let's take a little break. Now, you need to think fast. Mary's mom has 4 daughters. One daughter is called April, the second is named May, and the third daughter is June. What's the 4th daughter's name? It's Mary, of course. Who doesn't belong to this list? Napoleon Bonaparte, Queen Elizabeth, William Shakespeare, Sherlock Holmes, Aristotle, Christopher Columbus, Donald Trump. Sherlock Holmes. He's the only fictional character on the list. 8 girls are in the house and each of them is busy with something. The first one is cooking dinner. The second one is lighting the fireplace. The third girl is playing chess. The fourth one is reading a book. The fifth girl is drawing a picture. The sixth is cleaning up the house. The seventh girl is watering the plants. What is the eighth girl doing? She's playing chess with the third girl. One woman turned 40 in 1850, but in 1860 she was 30 years old. How could this happen? This could only happen if 1860 was earlier than 1850, which means that the woman turned 40 in 1850 BCE and 30 in 1860 BCE. An artist was walking in the park when it suddenly started raining. He had neither a hat nor an umbrella to cover his head. He also couldn't hide under a tree because the downpour was too heavy, and still, not a single hair on his head got wet. How can that happen? The artist was bald. Now let's get back to our detective riddles. Robert won $1 million in the lottery. He decided not to tell anyone about this, including his wife. At home, he put his money in a safe hidden behind a painting. The next day, the money disappeared. The police invited all the suspects for questioning. Emily, Robert's wife, said, "In the morning, I went to my husband's home to clean up there. The safe was open and there was nothing inside." James, Robert's business partner, said, "Poor Robert, he always wanted to win a lottery. I stayed at home all day and yesterday and watched TV." And Mark, Robert's friend, said, "I was at the gym last night, then I went home. I can't imagine why anyone would do this." The police arrested the thief. Can you guess who it was? Robert's business partner did this. Robert didn't tell anyone that he'd won the lottery. His wife noticed an empty safe when she entered the office, but she didn't know what was inside. Marina was participating in a figure skating championship. She was a very strong competitor, and many people believed she could win. When the time for a warm-up ran out, all the participants started preparing for the performance. Marina was the first. She was amazing, but suddenly she tripped. fell down and broke her leg, which made her unable to continue. The investigation revealed that someone had ruined her skates. The police interviewed 3 suspects. Anna said, "I didn't do anything, but I saw Jacqueline and Kate walking into the locker room before Marina's performance. They're the ones who ruined her skates." Jacqueline said, "Yes, I indeed went into the locker room to take my things, but I didn't see Kate there." And Kate said, "Yeah, that's because I've been practicing in the gym until it was my turn. Besides, Anna is lying. I saw her in the locker room." Can you guess who's lying? Kate. She couldn't train in the gym because the time for the warm-up had been over by the time the competition started. Here's what happened. Kate went into the locker room and ruined Marina's skates. Jacqueline came into the locker room after her, and that's what Anna saw. Jane is afraid that she might have a stalker. She brought some photos of herself and her friends to the police. The police immediately found the culprit. Who is Jane's stalker? Jane's friend Mike. He's the only one who is present in all the photos, and sometimes he even tries to conceal his identity. The investigation didn't have enough evidence to prove the suspect was guilty. Detective Reed decided to investigate their house, hoping to find some clues, and he actually did find something. He discovered a secret room. However, it had a combination lock and the word "idea" written above it. Do you have any idea what the code might be? "9451. The code is the number of each of the letters in the alphabet. The door opened to the suspect's secret office. At first glance, there was nothing suspicious inside. A table with a book in the middle, some dusty furniture, and a picture on the wall. The detective examined the painting and found a safe with a 3-digit code behind it. Next to it, there was a note with a hint. P270L7-8. Can you guess what the detective needs to do next? The detective realized that the note meant page 270, lines 7 to 8. He should check out the book on the table. The detective found the necessary lines on page 270. They read, "After wandering through the desert for 4 days and 3 nights, I came across a couple of travelers. They fed me and gave me one of their camels." This is a clue that can help crack the code to the safe. What is it? "721. 4 days and 3 nights makes 7. A couple of travelers is 2. And don't forget about 1 camel." The detective opened the safe and found the evidence that proved that the suspect was guilty. In the middle of the night, someone stole a unique artifact from a museum. The museum guard claimed it had been a robber. Detective Reed arrived at the crime scene immediately and questioned the guard. The man said, I was walking around the museum. Suddenly I saw a dark shadow. I called out to them, but they didn't respond." But Detective Reed noticed that something was wrong with this story. Can you guess what it is? There are only one person's footprints on the floor. If there was the guard and the criminal in the museum, shouldn't there be 2 sets of footprints? Detective Reed asked the guard what he did next. The man said, "I ran after the thief and saw them break the glass door and steal the artifact. The alarm didn't go off, as they had probably turned it off." Is the guard telling the truth? The door is indeed broken, but it's also open. It can only be opened with a key. It looks like someone opened the door to prevent the alarm from going off, and then broke the glass to hide the traces. The detective asked the man what had happened next. The guard said, "I ran up to the criminal and tried to stop them, but they sprayed something in my eyes, and I lost consciousness." When I woke up, I immediately called the police. Is he telling the truth? His eyes look totally fine. The robbery happened just a few hours ago. If the guard was telling the truth, his eyes would at least look red. He must be lying. The guard turned out to be the thief and was arrested.
So, Smarty Pants, are you ready for some detective work? Great, because I happen to have some right here. Gee, what a coincidence. Yeah. Let's go! You drop a bowling ball in a bucket of water which is 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And you also drop another ball of the same weight, mass, and size in a bucket at 30 degrees Fahrenheit. If you do it at the same time, which ball will hit the bottom of the bucket first? The ball in the bucket of the 45-degree water will hit the bottom of the bucket later than the other ball. Did you think that the water had to be frozen at 30 degrees Fahrenheit? But the riddle says nothing about that bucket having anything in it. Therefore, there is no water or ice to slow the ball down. Sam is talking to his lawyer in jail. They're very upset because the judge has refused to grant bail. At the end of the conversation, Sam is allowed to leave the jail. Why? Sam is visiting his lawyer, who was arrested and jailed. Time to look for another lawyer. Mary is the owner of a bag store. One day, a young woman came in. She wanted to buy a bag. After choosing the one she liked, she asked Mary how much it was. The price was $30. The girl asked Mary to sell it for $20, and the store owner agreed. The girl gave her $50. Mary didn't have any change, so she went to her friend who worked nearby to change the bill. The friend gave Mary two $20 bills and one $10 bill. The woman gave the customer $30 and put the remaining $20 in the cash register. Just a few minutes after the buyer left, Mary's friend rushed into the store. "The bill you gave me is fake. I need my money back." Mary gave her friend her own $50. How much money did the store owner lose in total? For one thing, Mary sold the bag at a $10 discount, so she already lost this money. Then she gave the girl $30 in change, and she had to return $50 to her friend for the fake bill. One $20 bill was the one her friend had given her, so she had to add $30 of her own. In total, she lost $70. Wow, next time use a credit card, huh? Private Detective Deborah was doing some shopping at the mall. Suddenly, she heard people arguing. The woman went there and saw a stressed shop assistant and several people crowding it. The poor man had found a smartphone and made an announcement, and now several people claimed it was their phone. One man said the phone must have slipped out of his bag. A young woman said the gadget belonged to her, and an older woman shouted it was her husband's device. That's when the phone rang. For some reason, the shop assistant handed it to Deborah. The woman glanced at the screen and immediately gave the phone to the man. How did she understand whose device it was? Deborah saw the word wife written on the screen. Jenny heard about a private party which was supposed to be VIP. Celebrities and influencers were going to attend it. And guess what? Thanks to one of her friends, Jenny managed to get on the guest list.
Yay!
Before the party, the girl bought a new dress and a pretty and expensive purse. At the party, Jenny got acquainted with a very nice young man called David. They were talking when someone pushed Jenny. She didn't fall over, only thanks to David's fast reaction. But she noticed that her purse was gone.
No.
David rushed to catch the thief. He spotted a guy hanging around the entrance. "What are you doing here?" The man answered that he was looking for an ATM. He needed cash to buy a ticket for the party. David told the man to hand Jenny's purse over or he would call the police. How did he understand the man was the thief? This is an A-list event. You can't just buy a ticket to get there. This man is lying. The faster you run, the harder it is to catch this thing. What is it? It's your breath.